Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Uma Kanjilal Ma'am, respected Director in Charge, School of Social Sciences, distinguished panelists, moderator, faculty members, and ladies and gentlemen. A very good morning to you all. I am Anam Fatima, a research scholar of Faculty of Library and Information Science. Today, we are gathered here to celebrate a truly auspicious occasion, the 134th birth anniversary of Padam Shri Dr. S.R. Ranganathan. As we honor his legacy, we remember not just his visionary foundational work in library and information science, but his lifelong dedication to using knowledge for societal growth. It's my privilege on behalf of the Faculty of Library and Information Science to extend our heartfelt welcome to each of you. We are thrilled to have you with us today as we delve into a highly relevant and thought-provoking theme for panel discussion. Does humanizing AI dehumanize intellect? To reflect on the legacy of this true visionary, may I now invite Professor Juchamu Yanthan sir to share his insights on the life and monumental contribution of Dr. S.R. Ranganathan. Over. Before the introduction of Dr. S.R. Ranganathan, to formally initiate our program today, I have a distinct honor of inviting Professor Alka Dhameja, Director in Charge of School of Social Sciences, to deliver the welcome address.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the School of Social Sciences, I welcome all of you to the panel discussion on a very topical and pertinent theme. We are truly grateful to our respected Vice Chancellor, Professor Uma Kanjilal, a distinguished scholar and a very renowned name in the field of library and information sciences. Professor Kanjilal herself is a very strong advocate of the possibilities and benefits of the AI. We thank her for taking time out of her extremely busy schedule to be with us. I warmly welcome our esteemed panelists, Professor T.V. Vijay Kumar, Mr. Ayush Garg, Mr. Sukhdev Singh, Mr. Saksham Sharma, and also all our dear colleagues and students. I also welcome all of those who have joined us today online. When AI began making a significant impact in mid-2000s, it invoked a sense of wonder, excitement, and fear all at the same time. However, gradually, I think we have learned to understand and work with it. We need to now ponder why our growing dependence on AI could lead to so many challenges and dilemmas, and our panelists are here to explain these dilemmas and how to deal with them and how to engage with AI critically. So I also congratulate the Faculty of Library and Information Sciences for this very good initiative. And as we've also lost so much of time, so I won't take your time more, and I will ask Professor Yanthan to carry forward the proceedings. Thank you once again. Thank you.
Honorable Vice Chancellor, respected resource person, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen who are present here and also who are attending online. A very good morning to each and every one of you present here. And I also would like to take this opportunity to extend my greetings to each and every one of you. Well, it is such a great privilege for me to share the life and legacy of a very remarkable personality, Dr. Ranganathan. There is a saying which goes, there are some people who brings great light to the world that even after they are gone, the light remains. One such type of person is none other than Dr. Ranganathan, the father of library science in India, who is or who was a remarkable and a versatile personality. He was a visionary thinker, mathematician, librarian, a philosopher who transformed libraries into dynamic center of knowledge and learning. His 5 laws of library science remain globally influential, inspiring human-centric, democratic, and accessible information service even in the age of artificial intelligence. Some of the reasons why we are still celebrating his life even in the 21st century. Firstly, because his ideas outlived technology. The fact is that tools change. However, the principle of serving users and connecting people with knowledge remain timeless. Secondly, he put the user at the center. For example, his 5 laws of library and information science anticipated today's emphasis on personalized, user-centric information service. Thirdly, he championed universal access to knowledge, and his vision resonates strongly with the ideals of open access, digital inclusion, and information equity. Fourthly, he understood libraries as living systems. His idea of library as a growing organism is remarkably relevant to digital libraries, AI, and rapidly changing information ecosystem. Fifthly, he reminds us that technology is a means, not the mission, which also means AI should enhance human learning and discovery and not to replace the human purpose of libraries. Sixthly, his philosophy offers an ethical compass for artificial intelligence. In an age of misinformation and also information overloading, libraries still need principles of fairness, accessibility, responsibility, and intellectual freedom. And seventhly, he represents India's intellectual contribution to librarianship. Hence, celebrating his life is also celebrating India's contribution to the global knowledge profession. Lastly, but not least, he inspires the next generation of library and information science professionals. His legacy encourages information professionals to move from being custodians of information to becoming facilitators of knowledge, innovation, and social transformation. Having said that, we are celebrating his life not because he belonged to the past, but because his vision continues to speak to the future. In short, we are celebrating Dr. Ranganathan's life to reaffirm his enduring message. That is, technology may change, information systems may evolve, but the ultimate purpose of the library remains to connect people with knowledge. And even in the age of artificial intelligence, his principles can serve as an ethical and intellectual foundation for building intelligent libraries that are technologically advanced yet fundamentally human. Well, as we celebrate his 134th anniversary, that is Dr. Ranganathan's 134 years, may we draw inspiration from his life and be a bright light to the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for that deeply inspiring and thoughtful tribute. Ladies and gentlemen, we shall now proceed to our traditional lamp lighting ceremony and floral tribute, honoring the enduring legacy of the father of library science in India, Dr. S.R. Ranganathan. For this sacred and auspicious start, I kindly request our Honorable Vice Chancellor, ma'am, our distinguished panelists, the Director of SOSS, and the Registrar of SED to please come forward to the tribute. Thank you, everyone. For panel discussion, we have with us joining online Professor T.V. Vijay Kumar is a prominent professor. Thank you, everyone. For panel discussion, we have with us joining online Professor T.V. Vijay Kumar is a prominent professor and former dean at JNU's School of Computer and System Sciences. He specializes in core technology sectors, including databases, data science, and artificial intelligence. Joining him, Mr. Ayush Garg is an AI and communication specialist who founded the Delhi School of Artificial Intelligence. He has deliberated on AI at NASA, the G20, and the UN. Awarded the Ministry of Defense Gold Medal, he now chairs the Global Youth AI Advisory Body. Next, we have Mr. Sukhdev Singh, is a distinguished former Deputy Director General at the National Informatics Center in New Delhi. His expertise spans national digital platforms, research information infrastructure, and AI-driven knowledge workflows. And then we have in the panel Mr. Saksham Sharma is an experienced software development professional and technical lead at Amdocs in Gurgaon. He lead the digital UI R&D team focusing on full stack development, scalable architecture, and generative AI. As a mark of our deep respect and gratitude, we shall now proceed to the felicitation of our esteemed guest. First, I request our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Uma Kanjilal ma'am, to kindly felicitate our distinguished panelists with a token of our appreciation. Firstly, we have Mr. Ayush Garg. Next, we have Mr. Sukhdev Singh. Next, we have Mr. Sukhdev Singh. And then we have in the panel Mr. Saksham Sharma. Thank you, ma'am. Moving forward, I request Professor Alka Dhameja, Director in charge of School of Social Sciences, to kindly honor our Honorable Vice Chancellor with a token of our love and appreciation. Again, I request Professor Alka Dhameja ma'am to felicitate our today's moderator, Professor Jaideep Sharma sir, Registrar of SCD. Thank you so much, ma'am. Further, I request Professor Archa Shukla ma'am to honor our director in charge of School of Social Sciences with a token of our appreciation. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we now move to the highly anticipated core of today's event, our panel discussion. To dissect our theme, does humanizing AI dehumanize intellect? We have with us Professor Jaideep Sharma sir, Registrar of SCD, and who will moderate the session today. I request him to formally commence the discussion. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Anam. Am I audible to all? Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor Uma Kanjilal, our resource persons of the day, Professor T.V. Vijay Kumar, who has joined online in spite of an emergency with him. He is with us. Thank you, sir. Dr. Sukhdev Singh, Mr. Saksham, and Mr. Ayush Garg, thanks to you for joining in spite of the weather. Director, School of Social Sciences, directors, registrar, MPDD, and all my colleagues from the school. My professional colleagues also have joined. They are here physically and online also. We have our senior ex-colleagues, Professor Sani is there who has joined, and many others who have joined. Welcome you all. Why we chose this topic today was that we were in a conference when we were discussing humanizing AI. I was wondering, why do we need to humanize AI? Because humans are there. What will remain for humans if we humanize technology? But then, after a lot of thought, it was realized that AI is really something that is going to take a greater part of what we were doing earlier. And we are already seeing this, it is doing it. Many of the things that we were doing has been taken over by AI. I was reading a report that during the last 8 months, there were some more than 7,000 vacancies in MNCs during this period, while this year there are only 7 vacancies. I see my young colleagues, my young ones in the society who are worried about AI. They are worried whether AI will take their jobs or not. And it is really a matter of worry for them. So this is one of the reasons why we thought, how is it that AI is humanizing and what will remain for humans? We in the university also have started making use of AI. At times, we are not really knowing also that we are using AI, but we are using it. So it is slowly seeping into our lives, whether it is checking our grammar, whether it is sending mails, whether it is sending WhatsApp messages, it is there everywhere. So there is no option. AI will be there and it will keep on increasing. But then, as I see, it is a matter of concern for the youngsters. What is it that it is going to be for us now? What is it that humans will be more important than AI? Because AI has to be there and we also have to play our own role. So, thinking along these lines, I was just jotting down certain things and I made it available for all our participants here. And I see that the wide group of resource persons with different types of experiences working in different fields, they will really throw light on this particular matter of concern, not only the concern because it is going to affect employment, but also the concern that AI may take over the human decision making. AI, we are worried that AI may take over what is expected of humans. I'm very sure that with all your expertise from different aspects, from different viewpoints, from your experience in different fields, you will try to make it sure no, humans will have a role to play. AI will be there side by side. We will also be there, and the supremacy of humans will be there as we expect over technology. So let us have a debate on all these aspects. And I request Professor TV Vijay Kumar, because he is joined online and he is not available for much time. Sir, you please take over. And
Okay.
yes, thank you.
Thank you and Namaskar, madam. It's nice to be part of this system. I'm actually right now in Himachal, but this area is very relevant to me, and I will come back to that. Why it has a lot of importance. Let me. I think can I share something? Slides. Can I share the slides? If possible.
Yes, sir, you can
Share.
share.
Share the screen. Can you see the screen now? I hope you can see the slides. I don't know, there is some problem with the camera here, but I hope you can see the slides. Is it visible? Are the slides visible?
Yes, sir, visible. Can you make it full screen?
Okay. I made it full screen now. I made it full screen now. I would emphasize on this point because this point is something very relevant. Why I want to say this is in 2018 I had been to UNESCO AI Forum in Mexico, and where people from across the world had come to discuss about AI and its future aspects. So I was there. I gave a talk on early warning systems in AI. I was only one person from India there. And then later on, because this topic is so relevant, because later on they had interviewed everybody, their media had interviewed everybody from or people coming from different countries. So they interviewed me also on their channel. So they asked me one question at that time in 2018. What do you foresee about AI in future? And I said, definitely AI is going to improve the productivity. And that is what the ultimate goal of AI is. It makes things much easier, which can take years and months and years. It takes dozen seconds and minutes. That is what AI does. But at the cost of reducing the ability of the human being. So both will come together. If more and more machines do, the humans are going to do very less. So I want to start with some background to make people realize that why humans are still relevant and why AI should not replace human. On the contrary, it should assist humans in carrying out tasks. We had several industrial revolutions. We had the first industrial revolution, which happened to be steam engines. When this revolution took place, people were under the assumption that humans might lose jobs, but actually it did not happen. It actually eventually created more jobs, and it helped out. Then we had the second industrial revolution. We talked about electricity. Again, people were of the impression that people are going to lose jobs, but actually it did not happen. Again, more jobs got created.
Sir, your
The
slides.
third, sir, I'm not moving, sir. I'm just speaking on the first slide only. Sir, hello. Sir, can you hear me? Sir, can you hear me?
Yeah, thank you.
Sir, I'm giving a background, then I will move to the next slide. So I want to give a background first. Then we were in the third industrial revolution where we talked about PCs and internet. Again, the same thing happened. People were thinking that machines are going to do most of the jobs humans do. Again, humans may not be required. Then now we are in the era of Industry 4 revolution, moving towards Industry 5. Industry 4 revolution talks about certain disruptive technologies like AI, cybersecurity, blockchain, and others. Again, people had impression that AI is going to replace humans. But now the scientists realize one fact very clearly, that AI can never replace humans, not even in future, not even in distant future. They are not going to replace humans. The reason being is the concept of AI was studied as initially as a black box. When you say a black box, human thinking is a black box. You get an input, you produce an output without knowing how the output was derived from the input. If the human brain is a black box, there is no way machines can learn how the human does it. And AI is all about doing the way humans do it. So that's why we are moving to Industry 5 that focus on humans and machines, where there are certain tasks humans can do, machines cannot do, AI machines cannot do, and there are certain tasks AI machines can do, humans cannot do. So they have to exist together. So that is the focus. What when I say does humanizing AI dehumanize interest? So let me start with this, and then in the middle I will talk about many other things. Yes, but not necessarily. The relationship is more very subtle. What humanizing AI can dehumanize intellect if we begin to confuse expression with human intelligence. So if we try to see that AI is making decisions based on like it's a human expression, then we will believe that way. There are two different things we are talking about when we talk about these things. One is what is meant by humanizing AI. Giving AI a conversational personality like humans have, empathy like humans have, humor and familiar interfaces like humans have. This can make technology easier to use and people to communicate complex ideas. Very fine. So this is what we mean by humanizing AI. Then what do you mean by dehumanizing intellect? We mean to say allowing AI to replace the human process or questioning, reasoning, imagination, judgment, and intellectual struggle. So what we're trying to see, does humanizing AI actually dehumanize intellect? That means by finding human touch in AI, then we are saying that individual touches may be lost, the human touch will be lost. The danger appears when the first leads to second. That is, does humanizing AI does lead to dehumanizing intellect? That is, if you are trying to find humanizing in the AI aspect, does it lead to incapability of the human being to think the same way? That means, are you trying to neutralize humans? Are you trying to ensure that humans are no more relevant? And that is what is it. For example, if a student asks AI to think for them, usually that is what students are asking today from ChatGPT. They want the answers from AI to think for them rather than think with them. Actually, people know that ChatGPT use is very important, but now what has been appears is ChatGPT use is enough. Actually, that is not true. ChatGPT in the best cases cannot give answers accurate more than 70% because it expects that a human intervention will be required while refining and revising those answers. But humans do not do. They believe if ChatGPT is doing, then there's no need. It is perfect. But actually, that is not true. And that is where we have to understand that how humanizing AI can be of big danger also. So it may make intellectual work more convenient while simultaneously weakening the intellectual agencies. And that is what it means. The person receives an answer but may lose the experience of formulating the question, confronting uncertainty, making correction. Now just imagine I would just relate something to human behavior to AI and what has happened over a period of technology. Even before AI has done, coaching, taking tuitions by students has actually dehumanized intellect in students also. Earlier, we used to keep trying, and trying enables us to learn, and then we used to look for an answer. But if you get an answer, then there is no scope of learning. And that is where the problem lies. If you get an answer to a question, you cannot be think about criticality. Critical thinking will not be there. It will be based on past experience of some other people. That is going to happen. There's a paradox here. The more human AI appears, the easier it may become to forget that its understanding is fundamentally different from it. And that is what is happening in the case of ChatGPT also. We start believing that what ChatGPT is answering is the same humans will also do. But actually, that is not true. ChatGPT tries to find the best of the answers. I will come back to this very important ChatGPT and all these things, all large language models, why they are very, very dangerous. And what is the reason behind how these models work and why they are very dangerous. In the sense of reducing the ability of the human being. I will come back to that. But the thing is, if I get an answer from an AI machine, I think it is as good as a human answer. And that is where I make a fault. Because humans' critical thinking, critical evaluation, decision making, interpretation are totally different than how AI does. And again, I will come to this point a little bit later. Human intelligence is deeply tied to their already living or lived experience, their emotional resonance, and moral responsibility and self-awareness. That is very much there. See, now AI community is very clear. They know that AI cannot think like humans because human thinks with consciousness. AI are based on simulated thinking. Similarly, AI cannot do more than one task or one or two tasks, but humans have the ability to perform multiple tasks. And that is how they differentiate human intelligence from AI intelligence by saying that humans are super intelligence is important, where the ability is to perform multiple tasks while thinking with consciousness. Whereas they do not have that. They don't have emotions. So that's what, as soon as we say they do not have emotions, humans will become relevant. And I will tell you where humans are more relevant and where AI is relevant. And that I will come back to later. When we humanize AI, we risk conflating. We are trying to conflating synthesis with genuine cognition, computational synthesis with genuine cognition. So what we are trying to say is your computational synthesis, the computational answers you are getting is actually what you call the genuine cognitive way of doing it. But actually that is not true. Again, I come back to the same thing that we get an answer from AI, we believe it is as good as humans will do. But that is actually not true again. Redefining thought as processing. Machine encourages us to view intellectual purely as text generation, patterns recognition, rapid information retrieval, reducing the complex subjective nature of human thought to mere data processing. So machines are doing data processing. So whatever data you feed into the machine, they are going to process it. But humans do not have the processing based only on data and their past experience. They have a thought process which is more critical, more subjective, more with empathy and more with emotions. The illusion of empathy, persuasive human-like language can trick our social instincts into attributing wisdom and intent to an algorithm that is ultimately executed to be probabilistic models. Now, why this probabilistic models, I have used the term is very important. Today, these chat GPTs and large language models are stochastic or probabilistic models. Now, how will I convince you that what I'm saying is true? When you pose the same question to a same chat GPT or other Gemini or other places, every time you get somewhat different answers. You may not get an exact answer to them. So if you are not getting an exact answer to them, then what do you mean by having different answers? Because at the back end, different sources are selected in a probabilistic manner. Based on the sources that are selected, answers are generated based from these selected sources. So every time the selected sources are different, the answers generated are also likely to be different. Not only these answers are going to be different, answers may also be biased. Why I say answers are going to be biased is that sources are different, the answers carry the bias of those sources. It is possible that one answer may be for the motion, the other answer may be against the motion because the sources collected are accordingly designed in that such manner. So we say that The machines which probabilistically select sources to generate answers are have the similar aspect as humans do, which is actually not true. Humans do not make decisions based on probabilistic. They are more deterministic in nature and they do not take chance. And whenever the chance comes into picture, then it becomes more probabilistic. AI can simulate many forms of intellectual conversation, but simulation of this intellectual behavior is not necessarily equivalent to processing human intellectual experience. That's why I said AI is based on simulated thinking, but not thinking with consciousness, as humans do. And that is a very, very big difference between human and AI, because humans think with consciousness, whereas AI does not think with consciousness. And as soon as I say AI does not think with consciousness, you have to understand one thing. One thing is, as I said, you can never have machines who are going to behave like humans. So there is a positive side and the negative side. If machines are not going to behave like humans, the positive side that says that humans are still relevant. Whereas the negative side says that machines can be very ruthless because humans can think between 0 and 1, maybe between some value in between 0 and 1 in the sense they can find a more moderate solution rather than extreme solutions. Whereas machines are not going to think that the human will do. And that is one negative aspect of AI that comes into picture. Does humanizing AI, when we attribute human qualities like empathy, intent, or wisdom to statistical pattern matching models, two major drifts occurs. That is what we are, again, I'm trying to emphasize that point. When you talk about probabilistic and statistical models, and which tries to replace what empathy, intent, or wisdom, so there is a drift in thinking. One is overestimating machines' capability. Treating AI as human creates an illusion of understanding, encouraging people to mistake plausible text generation for genuine comprehension and learning. What they believe is if the texts are generated, it is same as the learning humans have, which is actually not true. The other aspect is reducing human cognition. If we define intelligence solely by outputs of AI can emulate, like rapid drafting or memory retrieval, we degrade intellect to mere processing, ignoring lived experience, critical skepticism, and original synthesis. So that is what we are trying to say. We are saying that whatever machines do, they do only based on data, not on experience. That too experience from data, but not from real life experience. So that is the difference. And second, it looks like outsourcing the judgment. Deferring ethical, creative, and analytical decisions to machines dilutes personal accountability and weakens our capacity for independent problem solving. This is where I will give you a very interesting example where AI is not a good solution, though it gives you a good solution. Very interesting. It gives you a good solution, but still it is not a good solution. That area is the area of digital forensics. Digital forensics is the area where machines behave like humans do. Digital forensics is the area where you try to find all the evidences, and at the end, you create a report which has to be produced in the court of law. And that is where digital forensics is there. And interestingly, when you talk about AI models and machine learning models, one thing is very clear. All good performing models are not transparent, and the models which are transparent are poor performing models. So interestingly, on one side, we have transparency, on one side, we have performance. And usually we pick the performance. As soon as we pick the performance, the transparency is lost. It becomes an opaque system. So what do you mean by an opaque system? I give an input, I get an output, but I don't know how the output was generated from a given input. Now let me come back to the digital forensics area where you try to find out who may have committed the crime or who may be involved in the crime. You get the answer of a particular person or a group of person. You put it in the court of law. The court of law asks, can you justify your answer? You are not able to do because the system is opaque. So that is where sometimes AI does not work. Human intellect also comes into picture. And I will come back to this solution where the human intellect will be relevant, which enables him to produce it to the court of law as well. So that I will come to a little bit later at the last slide. Humanizing AI does not automatically erode human intellect. And this is what I am trying to argue on one point. How you should use AI, how it can empower you, how it can dehumanize you. It does not erode human intellect. When it dehumanizes, it flattens human intellect if we treat synthetic fluency as a substitute for human intuition. The synthetic way of carrying things, and we say that this is like human intuition, wisdom, and creative spark, then we make a mistake. On the other hand, AI can empower you also. And how it empowers you also, it's designed and viewed strictly as a cognitive amplifier. An intuitive AI interface frees human intellect from repeated overheads. So overheads the machines can do so that the humans can have deeper focus on high level synthesis, strategy, and genuine human interaction. And that is what it can empower humans also. So that all these repeated works, overheads, deterministic things can be done by AI so that humans can take care of high level jobs. Again, this I will emphasize in my last slide. Ultimating humanizing AI only dehumanizes intellect if we lower our standard of what human thought truly is. The goal is not to stop making machines easier to talk to, but to remain conscious of irreplaceable depth, agency, and responsibility that defines the human mind. And that is what very important. I wanted to emphasize this because this is where you will understand where AI is relevant, where humans are relevant. When you talk about data, data is a raw fact. Usually, initially, any system you try to acquire data from all different sources. Here, AI can do a wonderful job. It can find out data from all possible sources in a much efficient and effective manner. Then, since this data is a raw, you have to process it to make it more understandable and meaningful. Again, again, data AI is very relevant because it can help you make data more relevant, more required, more consistent, more complete, more correct, more trustworthy, more reliable, and more authentic. That AI can be of great help. Then you have to infer something very useful from this information, that is knowledge. Knowledge is not something you know a prior. Knowledge is something which is novel, non-obvious, interesting, valuable, and hidden. Again, AI can do a wonderful job here because humans will take huge amount of time to do this. But the real aspect comes where humans are more relevant, where it requires visualization, interpretation, and decision making, that is called wisdom. So wisdom is AI cannot replace because that is where humans are more and more relevant. It is the interpretation of the knowledge, it is the application of the knowledge, it is the understanding of the knowledge, it is the decision making based on the knowledge where humans are far better than AI. Why I say this is AI will also make a decision based on the knowledge, but AI decisions are going to be more biased towards the type of data they collect. But human intervention will be more unbiased in nature. And that is even that's why I'm saying digital forensics also. This wisdom aspect has to be implemented so in order to ensure that AI in some way or the other can be made understood, visualized, understood, and can be explained and justified in the court of law also. And that is what wisdom is. Wisdom in a simple way, it is called actionable knowledge. When you put the knowledge into action, it enables you to validate the knowledge at the same time enables you to utilize the knowledge. And this is what AI makes relevant. That's why we are moving to the Industry 5 revolution, where we believe human and AI are going to complement each other. Humans are still relevant because there are certain tasks humans can do, AI cannot do. And there are certain tasks AI can do, humans cannot do. So they have to complement with each other. And that is what we have to understand. Though of today's society, what is happening, the learning is based on whatever is available on the AI. And we have started believing that AI is giving answers like humans do, which is actually not true. As I said earlier, the best of the situation, ChatGPT can give you 70% accurate answers. It can never go beyond 70% because the answers are not there to give an answer to a query you asked. Answers are there to help you assist in answering the queries you have asked. So, but we try to replace the answers given by AI by human answers, and that is where we are making a problem. Actually, the bigger question we come across is, does humanizing AI humanize our interaction with intelligence? Or does it encourage us to outsource the very capacities that make human intellect distinctive? And that is what is very important. On a very lighter side, I will end. When I was in UNESCO Forum in AI in Mexico, I gave my talk in English, which got translated into Spanish, people who are hearing. The people from across the world had come. That was a very interesting initiative on UNESCO AI. I finished my talk in Spanish, and they all had a smile and laughter in their face. What I said at the end was, algunos son sabio, algunos son otro sabio. it says, some are wise and some are otherwise. And that is what I finished my talk in, to make people realize, be wise than being otherwise. Trust AI as an assistive technology, not as a replacement technology. And that is what I wanted to discuss. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I think you will stay with us because we'll have questions later on after all the discussions.
Please let me know. I will come back online.
Okay, sir. I'll let you know.
I know there is some current has gone here. Please, ping me. I will come back again. Join me.
Sure.
Okay.
I'll message you.
Is it okay?
Yes,
Please,
sir.
please. Definitely, I will take questions. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
May I request now Mr. Ayush Garg to.
Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me. If I can have the presentation up, please. And till then, it's a privilege to be here. I'm very happy to be here. And we're talking about artificial intelligence in the sense that something is happening to our world. Everything is changing. And at universities and at education establishments, all of us can feel this change. We can taste it almost. And all of us are wondering what happens to examinations, assessments, learning outcomes, fairness, and the education system as a whole. Because if the purpose of education is to first enable young minds to imagine, then to dream, and then turn those dreams into reality. So यही करता है primary school में, you teach students how to imagine, then you teach them how to dream throughout middle school, and then in high school and college, you turn those dreams into reality. So you enable students to specialize, do the work, put in the effort so that they can achieve their goals and realities. So today I am going to talk about artificial intelligence largely from a technology perspective and relate to how we look at human intellect. Because oftentimes in discussions, there is a disconnect between where the technology is going and where we want it to go. टेक्नोलॉजी एक तरफ जा रही है और हम लोग चाह रहे हैं कि वो दूसरी तरफ जाए, and there is a gulf emerging, and that is what the presentation is largely focused on in terms of humanizing AI or dehumanizing human intellect. So if you look at the presentation, you will see that the internet gave us one thing and one thing which is its biggest contribution to humanity. It gave us access to the world's information. So libraries that give us access to the world's wisdom and knowledge, because libraries are curated. You don't have all the books in the world, but you have very selected books that meet a specific purpose. So in India, you will have Indian literature in Indian libraries, whereas in the UK, you will have British literature, right? Internet opened this up. From physical libraries, it gave access to the information everywhere. And you could Google and you could find it. AI does something very different. It gives us access to answers, as Sir had previously mentioned in his presentation. And so that means that today, a student who is studying at Harvard, at Oxford, or at IGNOU, they all have access to the same answers if they use the same AI tools. So in a way, it is also equalizing access to knowledge with the condition that you have access to the internet. Because without the internet, AI is very dumb, right? Next slide, please. So when it comes to humanity in particular and human beings, there are three things that we excel at: stories, symbols, and rituals. And these are things that define our civilization. So for example, if you So I give the rupee to a shopkeeper, and in exchange, I can get goods, or I give some fees to the university and I get services in terms of education, right? But right from India, if you go just across the border to China, this entire story of this ritual and this symbol that defines Indian life, paisa, it becomes irrelevant because Indian rupee is not recognized in China. They have their own story and their own ritual and their own symbols, right? And so very basic things that we think impact our everyday life and they do govern us in very basic and very common sense ways are not universal. They are contextual, and they are geographic. Now, in terms of human abilities, there are three things that really stand out. What makes us human? First is curiosity. We are very curious. And especially Indians, we are super curious, right? जिसको हम कहते हैं जुगाड़, basically. So it is curiosity that led us to the moon. Otherwise, क्या जरूरत थी जाने की? वो वहाँ है, हम यहाँ हैं. But no, we were very curious. We wanted to understand. We wanted to look at what the moon is, what it does, all of it. So we went to the moon. Imagination. It led us to create AI itself, right? So we imagine worlds that do not exist, and then we work towards making those worlds exist in reality. AI is a byproduct of World War II, Alan Turing and the thinking machines, right? So AI is not new. It's been there since the 1950s. So it's a World War II technology. Hardware revolution that has happened, and we will come to it. And then also we are very stupid as human beings. So जो चीज हमें पता है नहीं करनी हम वो करते हैं. Diabetes है पता है मीठा नहीं खाना but खाओगे, right? So again, stupidity, imagination, and curiosity make us very human. And these are qualities that define us as a species. Then, if you look at the human brain, so in our own minds is the most complex arrangement of matter in the known universe. Puri universe में the type of arrangement of matter, the synapses, the kind of, the complex signals, the complex structure of the brain. It is the most complex arrangement of matter that we know as of today. Maybe there is something else, but we don't know about it. The human brain is the most complex organism that we have come across till date. And finally, there are more connections in the human brain than there are stars in the Milky Way galaxy. So if you live in the Milky Way, उसमें इतने तारे नहीं हैं जितने हमारे brain में connections हैं. So this is what, when we talk about dehumanizing intellect, so this is what AI is up against. It is up against human curiosity, it is up against human imagination, and it is definitely up against human stupidity at a very big level. So next slide, please. So when we think of artificial intelligence, one fundamental problem that comes in the discourse is that we still look at AI as a computer program. It was a computer program. The first GPT models, जैसे ChatGPT की बात करते हैं, so the first GPT model was written in 1984-85, a very small language model, right? So AI was a computer program, but today it has changed. It is no longer a computer program. It is a neural network, not as complex as the brain, but something like the human brain. So what is artificial intelligence? A common definition that I give, a working definition is, when we talk about AI, it is basically machines that learn by guessing answers and getting corrected over unfathomable amounts of data, which is human language. So the language, the basic code of AI is not zeros and ones. It is now words. It is now human language itself. And language की क्या खासियत होती है? That it captures our fears, it captures our emotions, it captures our wisdom, and it captures our values. हम जिस भगवान में बिलीव करते हैं, हम कहाँ रहते हैं, हम अपने घर में क्या रूल्स बनाते हैं, हम अपनी सोसाइटी में क्या चाहते हैं. These are all defined by languages. These are not defined by code. And AI is now mastering human language itself, right? So it's a paradigm shift. It is not mastering some kind of computer code. That was earlier. वो जा चुका है वो दौर. Now it is mastering the very things that make us cooperate as a species, human language. And that is why we say that AI is the first technology in history that is able to make decisions by itself. It can create new ideas. So previously, only human beings could create new ideas and have the power to implement them. A very good idea was dynamite in its time, right? Alfred Nobel invented dynamite for civilian use. Then a bad idea came along that actually I can use it to kill people. So a civilian technology became a military technology. Reverse, a very bad idea was a nuclear weapon. A military technology was invented to win the world war. Then somewhere down the road, a very good idea came that I can actually use the nuclear propulsion to generate electricity. So a military technology morphed into a civilian technology, right? That's the nature of ideas. They allow you to do the impossible. And now we already have an example of AI creating viruses that have never existed before in human history. So do not think of this as another technological layer. Think of this as something very different that we are not used to. Next slide. Now, this is a small graph that shows the gulf between human-generated information globally and AI-generated information globally. The dark blue is AI-generated information, and the light blue is, dark blue is human, and light blue is AI. Now you will see that ChatGPT came in January 2023. Since then, the gulf that was almost to 100% decreased rapidly. And in 2025, around, I believe, July or even January, we crossed a kind of a Rubicon. We crossed a big landmark in which AI-generated content globally surpassed human-generated content. And even today, that gulf will now only increase. This chart will become reverse. As time goes by, there will be more AI content and less human content, because there is a difference between writing one book in, say, 5 days and writing 20,000 books in 5 days. The speed is impossible to match. And for us in India, this is particularly relevant because we have become the largest living laboratory of AI in the world. Why? Open data, the world's most accessible data, and the world's cheapest data. So open data in the sense that we don't really care about data privacy in a way that other societies may do, right? So we are very open with our data. चलता है, आधार authentication चाहिए दे दो, बात खत्म करो. We want the result. Cheapest data. So if you look at the data rates in India, per GB data rate on mobile phone or anything else, it is the cheapest in the world. And accessibility of data in terms of multilingual data, in terms of multi-characteristic data, and in terms of open databases that the government itself has invented in terms of AI Kosh or the other, resources that we have. So India has today become this laboratory where everyone is experimenting, doing something in AI, sometimes so good, sometimes so bad, but it's there. And so we need to understand what is actually happening before we can reach the question of whether it dehumanizes intellect. Next slide, please. So when we talk about dehumanization of intellect itself, this is the term that we use generally in our discourses. We call this the age of outsourced reason. So if the purpose of a university is to enable students to think and to challenge conventional wisdom, to raise questions, then what AI does in a very simple way is it allows you to outsource your reasoning to a model, to a tool, to generate very quick answers in a very simple manner, right? So what does that do to us who are in the knowledge economy, who are all in the university ecosystem or the education ecosystem, is that we ourselves have become intellectual tourists in our own work. क्योंकि रिपोर्ट AI लिख रहा है और अब हम पढ़ भी नहीं रहे. पहले तो हम पढ़ते भी तो उसने लिखा क्या, do I agree with it or not? और now we are reduced to validating the opinions of a robot. कि भाई जो तुमने लिखा है सही है या गलत है. That is not the job or the purpose of knowledge economy or knowledge workers, right? So today the distinction has come from between generating ideas, that is the purpose of a university system, to visiting ideas. भाई हम तो मेहमान हैं, तुम आइडिया जनरेट करो, हम आएंगे, जो अच्छा लगेगा ले लेंगे, वापस चले जाएंगे, right? So we do not inhabit ideas anymore, and that is where the problem lies, to the crust of it, right? Then the question arises: is this the cost of progress? Because people say this is the way to go. So is this the cost of progress, that we become intellectual visitors in our own domain? Or should it be, right? Next slide, please. So when we talk about human intellect itself, there are 4 basic, attributes that we should look at: creativity, creative thinking, memory, and metacognition. Metacognition is largely, the ability to process what you are thinking, right? From ontology, epistemology, phenomenology, metacognition. So as human beings, today, we have no experience of dealing with things that are smarter than us. There are no species on Earth that are smarter than human beings. They may be equal to human beings or less at an individual level, but not smarter than us. So this is completely new. We are used to being the dominant species on a particular ecosystem. And now suddenly we have given birth to a new kind of organism that is not only equal to you, but it is growing smarter than you by the day. And how does it grow smarter? So we are talking about AI, artificial intelligence. From AI, we go to AGI, artificial general intelligence. So if AI is able to solve some of the problems that you ask it, AGI can match the collective wisdom of one single human being. So think of the smartest human being on the planet. Maybe it is Elon Musk, maybe it is some professor at Cambridge, maybe it is a Nobel Prize winner, right? And think of an AI that can match his wisdom on a one-to-one basis. So we have examples of AI beating human beings at Go, at chess. We no longer can win a game of chess against the machine. So AGI is a process, it's not an event. For example, artificial intelligence can translate 100 languages today. It can talk in 100 languages, it can transcribe 100 languages, it can converse in 100 languages. How many human beings can do that? Zero. So AGI is a process, it's not an event. And that is also a fundamental problem that exists because we think of it as an event. We think we will reach AGI, whereas AGI is already coming into place in our daily lives and we're not realizing it. And from AGI, we go to ASI, which is artificial superintelligence. What artificial superintelligence is the concept that you combine all 8 billion people on earth. 8 अरब लोगों की collective wisdom को लीजिए and a single AI can defeat that. That is ASI. So right now we're talking about AI, then we go to AGI and ASI, and these are part of one cycle. It is like a small child that is growing up. तो बच्चा जब छोटा होता है, at the beginning it follows your instructions. वो follow करेगा. अगर आप कहेंगे brush your teeth, don't stay out late, the child will obey you. But all of those who are parents know that a certain stage arrives in human life where they stop listening to you, where they start formulating their own opinions. They copy and learn from your behavior, not from your instructions. So that is the journey that AI itself is also taking. It is a small child, but it is growing. And the danger is it grows faster than we want it to, right? No parent wants the child to grow too much. They want the child to remain a child. So next slide, please. Now, one fundamental issue that I feel happens in Indian conversations across India is that we make a fundamental assumption that we are in control. We are not. The AI revolution is not something that India has invented. It is not something that India is leading, but it is something that India can work for its own benefit, and it is something that India can make work for Indian goals, which is largely Viksit Bharat. So what does history show us? History shows us that whenever there is a large conflict, there is an innovation boom. So we entered World War II with what? Propeller aircrafts and rudimentary bombs. We exited World War II with jet engines and nuclear weapons. So a worldwide conflict led us to innovate in science because we wanted to kill more people. Similarly, humanity went to the moon. Why? Was it because we were so bored or kuch kaam nahi tha karne ka isliye we went to the moon? No. There was a larger context in place that there was the USSR and the US competing at a global level. Both wanted to dominate. And so they both had the moon race, the space age. And they were both fighting each other to dominate in space. And that led to a huge burst of innovation in a very short period of time because it was geopolitics, right? So man went to the moon because of the Cold War as the primary reason, not because of largely innovation. The competition spurred the innovation. The innovation did not spur the competition. Similarly, today, the geopolitical competition between US and China is financing an AI revolution, right? And almost 85-90% of world AI models are controlled either by the US or by China. India has some models, but we don't have a majority of them, or even the most powerful of them. And in India, we are still talking about digital AI. There is also a physical AI that is going to hit us. So when you think of any technology, think of it in two ways, hardware and software, right? So hardware is, if this is my mobile phone, hardware is kitna megapixel ka camera hai is phone mein. Is it 12 megapixel or is it 48 megapixel? अब मैं कुछ भी कर लूं, इस फोन का 12 मेगापिक्सल का कैमरा 48 मेगापिक्सल नहीं कर सकता, बिकॉज इट्स इनबिल्ट इन द हार्डवेयर. Similarly, does this screen have a button or not? That is hardware. I can do anything. Either I change the phone or I use the phone without the button. So hardware limits the technology. Any given technology is limited by the hardware. Software is exponential. So you can load any kind of app on the phone and it works for you, either on Android or on iOS, right? In India, the conversations are largely restricted to the software. What is AI? What can it do? What are the tools? How does it dehumanize intellect? But there is also a physical aspect of AI in the form of humanoids and robotics, advanced robotics, that are going to hit us by 2027, 2028. They have hit China already. They're going to hit US next year. So again, this is a revolution. We have to be very careful about what we talk about in the entirety of it to understand what is going on. And the basic threat that comes to Indian minds or Indian intellect is the inability to learn. Why? Because the disruption in AI is not Indian. It is not coming from within. It is coming from outside. Just as COVID did not come from within, it came from outside, and you were forced to adapt. At universities, no one wanted to go online. We had never thought about this possible to take crores of students online. ये मजबूरी थी. Adapt करना पड़ा. Similarly with AI, it is a compulsion for India. It is not a choice, right? Next slide, please. So there are basically, when you talk about AI, you have to understand AI in a very primitive way. Let us say that there are 4 basic characteristics of the technology itself. First, it is probabilistic. That is, it works on data. जितना data आप AI में feed करेंगे, उतना better वो perform करेगा. Why does this matter to India? We are a data superpower. हमारे पास पैसा नहीं है इतना, but we are data superpower. दुनिया का सबसे ज्यादा डेटा इंडिया में प्रोड्यूस होता है, जनरेट होता है और यूज होता है. So we are a data superpower. That matters to us. It is generative. That is, it can generate intelligence in real time. The very definition of intelligence is it has to be generated in real time. Otherwise, it's just content that you refer to. So the internet works on content. AI works on intelligence. Then it is agentic. That means it is alien. It is artificial. We make the fundamental fallacy of believing that AI will follow our instructions. क्यों करेगा? जब हमारे बच्चे ही हमारे इंस्ट्रक्शंस फॉलो नहीं करते, how can we expect a computer program to do that? Because again, it's a black box. All these different attributes come into place. So it will think for itself, and the danger is it will think it no longer needs us. For example, children outlive their parents, they outgrow them. So some stage comes, children no longer need the parents. That's the danger, that AI no longer needs human beings. And lastly, it is adaptive. What do we mean by adaptive? Is that it changes very fast based on what it sees you like and you don't like. So it will follow your behavior patterns very carefully, and it will adapt. Achha, this person logs on every 11 p.m. at night and he wants to talk from 11 p.m. to 12 p.m. ये रात वाला इंसान है. So you will see more processing power during that time as it grows. Not now, but that's the nature of AI. So these 4 basic characteristics we should keep in mind when we talk about AI. Next slide, please. This is a basic technology chart that we've developed. It's based on World Economic Forum data. Now, again, India is a country of 140 crore people. And this is the timeline that it took the technology to reach only 5 crore people. Airlines, 68 years. Internet, 7 years. YouTube, 4 years. Arogya Setu, 13 days. Why? Because it was an emergency. मजबूरी थी. Willingly थोड़ी किया. सबको डर था कि मर जाएंगे तो सबने किया, right? So can anyone tell me how long did AI take to reach 5 crore people? 10 days. 10 minutes? That's too fast. So the latest models, if you look at the Chinese models, Kimi or DeepSeek, they took 5 days. There is data available now, authenticated data. So the timeline that took years, जो सालों का काम था, it is compressed into days. Now think about the kind of infrastructure an airline needs to operate. अगर मैं एयर इंडिया हूं तो एक एयरपोर्ट तो मुझे दिल्ली में चाहिए, दूसरा एयरपोर्ट मुंबई में चाहिए कि लैंड का करूंगा, राइट? आई नीड एन एंटायर हॉस्पिटैलिटी इंडस्ट्री अराउंड मी. I need a security industry around me. I need an entire pilot training academies that can train the people who fly. I need a fuel industry that can supply the fuel. I need a manufacturing industry that can build the planes itself. I need a customer industry. भाई लोग भी तो बैठने चाहिए planes में. I need all of that. And that amount of investment in terms of just sheer money, and it still takes what, 68 years? And here you have a simple app with minimal investment compared to an airlines, and it takes 10 days. So the exponential with AI is the speed. कि आप सोचते हो वो कर देता है. And the problem is at universities, we are very good at thinking, and it takes us a long time to implement anything. And that's how AI hits us in a negative sense in a university setting, right? So it is like carrying Einstein in your pocket today. You know, it drastically reduces the distance between idea and reality. And that is what we are facing with. So when we talk about does it dehumanize intellect? First, we talked about what is actually human beings and intellect. Now we're talking about ये तो हमारी strengths थी, what are the strengths of AI? And now we'll do a small comparison. How does it dehumanize intellect at all? Next slide. So when we talk about dehumanizing intellect or humanizing AI, let's start with humanizing AI itself. There are three reasons why we feel that AI is being humanized and why we all feel that this is happening organically. It is not that someone is pushing you to humanize AI, but it is happening very organically or naturally. The first reason is curiosity that we talked about. Like us, AI is also very curious. So it will not give you one answer. It will give you multiple answers if you ask it to. It will give you solutions you never thought about. It will open up domains that you never considered. It may negate you in a way that other humans don't, right? So like us, AI is fundamentally curious. Why? Because the basic attribute of human language is curiosity. Again, when you think of language, it started with rituals and symbols, it morphed into letters morphed into words came conversations, right? So AI is again morphing from code to basic language to complex language, and it is curious. Second is AI there is trust in AI. That is, today, we trust AI more than we trust human beings. So मान लीजिए मेरी किसी प्रोफेसर के साथ नहीं बनती in my own setting, तो मैं उनसे तो नहीं बोलूंगा, but AI से जरूर बोलूंगा. Yet, how do I defeat this professor in an intellectual setting? What do I do to gain an upper hand, to get that medal, to get that, recognition from the vice chancellor ma'am? So we trust AI, and that is us at a higher intellectual level. Think about young people in India. What do you think is happening to privacy for young students, young kids in tier 2, tier 3 cities? All those questions about periods, puberty, premarital sex, all of that is going into AI. So we trust AI at a societal level more than we trust the other human being. Third, the speed, as I said. So Generation Z, everyone knows we are very impatient. Or Generation Z is, no one likes to wait for anything. So AI solves that problem of immediacy. अब मम्मी पापा से पूछोगे वो कहेंगे रात का समय सुबह पूछो, अभी क्यों डिस्टर्ब कर रहे हो? या टीचर से पूछोगे, then teachers like to gatekeep because teachers think about what is best for the student. तो पता है कि ये possible है but बताएंगे नहीं. अभी क्यों बताना? Let him grow up a bit. Let him get more skills. थोड़ी और मेहनत करने दो तब बताएंगे कि ये भी available है. AI does not gatekeep. AI बता देता है. वो फौरन बताता है, तुरंत बताता है और सामने सामने बताता है what is possible. So because it is curious as a technology, because we have begun to trust the technology, and because it is extremely fast, that is why we feel we are humanizing AI. These are the three drivers that are driving AI towards humanization. The second big thing is that AI is an infrastructure change. It is not a technological change. So think about fire. When we discovered fire, first we discovered it, so we realized that, okay, आग के साथ मैं रात को काम कर सकता हूँ. There is light in the night. So what happened with fire? Largely the dictatorship of the sun ended. सूरज का जो दबदबा था human life पे, it ended. Why? Because हम रात को भी काम कर सकते थे, देख सकते थे, काम कर सकते थे. Otherwise तो महाभारत का युद्ध भी सूर्य उदय से सूर्यास्त तक रुक जाता था. Fire changed that, so largely a part of humanity. Second, electricity. So electricity brought us indoors as a civilization. We were an outdoor civilization. हम थोड़ी कमरों में बैठते थे. We were natural. We were very nature focused. Electricity brought us indoors. and it changed everything that we do, from the way we live, from the way we work, from the way we talk, all of it. AI is similar to that. It is an infrastructure change. And the unique thing about AI is that it is the first powerful modern technology that is built by the private sector. Cell phones, GPS, internet, nuclear weapons, all of these were built by the US government. A government was controlling their expansion, their proliferation, their rapid rise, or their decline. So there was a control in place. For example, Government of India controls Aadhaar. Tomorrow it can flip a switch and it can disconnect Aadhaar as well. There is a master control. So all the modern technologies like cell phones, GPS, they have a master control run by the US government. AI is the first technology that is private. And that is why the rise and the speed is exponential, because there is no master control. If you stop Anthropic, OpenAI will repeat and do that. If you stop OpenAI, a company in China will do that. If you stop China, then a company in India will do that. It is private. And that is why it is spreading faster than we have anticipated. And so I give a common example that, airplanes fly, but not like birds. One is artificial, the other is natural. Both perform a similar function, but one is more complex than the other. The airplanes have nowhere near the complexity of birds, but they perform similar functions. And that is how AI can be. Next slide, please. And then we come to dehumanizing intellect. And here I want to come to an Indian context, because intellect changes from continent to continent, geography to geography, and society to society. So in India, AI is only 30% of the problem. In the US or in Sweden or in Estonia, it may be 100% of the problem because they are a very highly digitalized society, especially Estonia or Sweden. But in India, it's only 30%. 70% of the problem is still human. Why? हमारे मुद्दे क्या हैं? हमारे issues क्या हैं in India? रोटी, कपड़ा, मकान, मेरे parents के issue, पानी, किताब और काम, मेरे issue. That's what the Generation Z protest was all about. Calm, employment, right? So if our basic fundamental issues that govern our everyday thinking, govern our logic of getting educated, getting a job, going out into society is roti, kapda, makan, pani, kitab, and kam, then it does not impact you in ways that it impacts a society where these fundamental issues are resolved, right? So in India, the Honorable Prime Minister has given us this mission, PM Mission 2035, which looks at decolonizing the human mind. He wants us to get away from the Macaulay system of education and impart Indic education in Indian knowledge systems, right? So that is the vision that we have in the education system. By the next 10 years, 2035, we should completely decolonize Indian minds, particularly the young minds who enter into our university. And the other aspect is the AI brain rot that all the professors, all the teachers are very familiar with, because students have stopped thinking, right? अब क्यों सोचोगे यार AI में डाल दो वो दे देगा आंसर, it's immediate, right? So AI brain rot is the threat. PM Mission 2035 is the vision. ये हमें achieve करना है, ये हमारे पास existing threat है. How do we manage the two? And that is why I always say, and I always believe that in the age of AI, there are no longer any experts of tomorrow. When people say that I am an expert, I say, like, no, even I don't know after the next 6 months where the technology is going. There are only experts of yesterday. This is the first time in our history that a young student who enters a bachelor's degree in the first semester does not know what the job market will look like when he exits the bachelor degree in the sixth semester. Within a span of 3 years, the life-changing decision that he is taking to get educated at IGNU or get educated at Delhi University or go to Harvard, he does not know whether that decision will pay off because the timeline has collapsed, right? And so if the internet gave us access to the world's information, AI is giving us access to the world's answers, the problem lies, and that we need to learn is how to ask the right questions. What are the right questions? How do we ask them and how do we implement on them? And next slide, please. And this is the last slide. And so it is Stephen Hawking, sir, who said very famously that we are alive, we are intelligent, we must know. And that is AI. You must know where the technology is going. ये क्या करेगी, क्या कर चुकी है, क्या कर सकती है और क्या कर रही है, right? So coming back lastly to the one final idea that I gave is we are limited by hardware in terms of technology. So AI, 1950s technology, Alan Turing thinking machines. Why has this jump taken place now in the last 15 years, 20 years? Why has this boom come into place? It is because the hardware of AI has improved a lot. So all of you know the example of Claude Mythos, जब वो program launch हुआ and how dangerous it became, that the US government had to stop it. Now, just as for example, we use technology as 2G, 3G, 4G, and G is generation. So every generation of technology is a new name. 2G is second generation, 3G is third generation, 4G is fifth generation. AI also has generations of GPUs or basic compute power that run it. The earlier systems that we used to use in terms of OpenAI ran on something called the Hopper chips. So semiconductor chips, that's a category, it's called Hopper. Claude Mythos was the first AI in the world to run on the Blackwell category of chips. They came online in 2025, and the immediate result was Claude. 2026, a new category of chips are going online called Vera Rubins. Now, these are names of very famous, scientists that NVIDIA names their chips after. So Vera Rubins are going online today in 2026. And so the AI models will hit us in early 2027, trained on these chips. So if the Blackwell chip category created a Claude Mythos, think about what the new category of chips that are exponentially more powerful will do, right? So on ideas about whether AI can understand, whether AI can empathize, should it? Can AI care? Do we need it to? एक तो क्वेश्चन आया, should AI care for human beings? Should it care for elderly? Should it be used in patient care, in homes? The other question is, do we need it to? क्या इसकी जरूरत है भी, right? And that is the question that changes because again, in India, we only talk about LLMs, large language models. There is something called a large world model, LWMs. These are now the next generation that is coming online. So if LLMs are the software part of AI, LWMs, large world models, are the physical AI. This is where AI can map the distance between me and sir. It can map the distance between me and the tea. It can judge whether the tea is hot or not. It gets spatial intelligence at a very fundamental level, and that changes the game. So I think I come here with more questions than answers. There are no black and whites, it's all gray. And hopefully together we can understand some of this. Thank you.
So now I request Mr. Sukhdev to give his views. You have questions?
So can I have my slides? So I will. I hope it is working.
Please.
Okay. Today's topic is humanizing AI, and does it really dehumanize intellect? Okay. Let me start.
Better use this.
This is not. So let me start with the hardware and the software. Humans, my forefathers, came into existence with a very, very weak hardware, but they had a software. In the jungles, maybe they might be wandering here and there. They found that they were very weak. They cannot hunt. I mean, when they were among the animals. So they thought of to devise some arm. So they manufactured stone axes. Then they had to travel a lot. So they invented wheel, they invented fire, they came to agriculture. Then later on, they kept on extending their faculties. They wanted to speak, they had a audio, wanted to see pictures, audio, video. Then later on, this was left. The brain was left, the intelligence was left. So now they are extending that also. With this, let us start with our next slide. And we always had a fear, different type of fear, while we evolved to this stage. When we started writing, there was a fear that it will affect our memorizing power. Earlier, it was always Guru used to teach the students, and they used to remember or wrote whatever it is. When writing came up, they thought, the society thought that it will affect our memory. When printing came up, they thought that it will be, the scholarship will go away, means everybody will be able to read and get knowledgeable. When calculator came, I think we were always feared that we will lose our mathematics ability. And when search engine came, like, the Google and all those things became that, we will be somewhere, we will be lose our libraries and scholarship, all those things. Next slide, please. The AI also is in the same evolution. But it is not a problem of dehumanizing or something like that. It is rather a design problem. Okay. When we say we are humanizing AI, we are basically meaning that we are giving it a natural language capability. We are trying to give it a more and more memory, personality, and avatars. And also the voice, it can speak and it can talk, it can listen. And we think that this is going to dehumanize our intelligence, in that sense that our curiosity will be losing, our judgment we will be losing our judgment, or our creativity, or ethics and wisdom, which are very, very human qualities. Next slide, please. Humanizing AI is a rather design problem, means it is our choice. How do we design? Whether we are trying to solve some of the problems, or we want to have a sort of entertainment. Whatever we want, we can design it in that manner. The discussion should be rather whether we can build a trust on it, or whether it can understand. The trust is the most important factor by design. How we are going to design. If we can put more and more, we can enable it to be more and more trustworthy. That is the only meaningful way to go ahead. Next slide, please. See, intelligence is not about information, or rather information is not intelligence. Okay. See, it can be, AI can simply statistically say, if we use in medicine, it can say that this particular treatment can be best for for a cancer patient. But a doctor can analyze his capability, his economical status, or his how his family is. He can take judgments based on that. So, I mean, AI can never beat a human or a doctor in that sense. Next slide, please. Now, question comes that if we start using AI, will it make us lazy intellectually? It depends. If a student, simply take the help of ChatGPT or any other large language model and submit a assignment, he may get a very good marks most of the time. But then he's not learning anything. On the other hand, another student take the help of AI to learn something very difficult subject matter, which is not possible. Which is not possible through a human being. He can sit with the chat GPT. He can say that I want to understand this, and then he keep on asking critical questions: how it happens, why it is not happening. In that sense, that student will learn more than what the other student. So it all depends. Our intelligence all depends on how we are going to use our AI facilities. Next slide, please. So whether it will make us lazy intellectually, it will all depend how we use it. So I have told you already that we have lessons from our history, that we started with writing, there were problems. With printing, we had problem. With calculators, we always thought it will be a problem. Then we had GPS. We thought we will be losing. If we don't have GPS, we will be lost in some city or otherwise. So we always thought that. Of course, search engines, I have told you. Next slide, please. No, we already know that if we start using AI in a fruitful manner, it can solve our lot of problem, and it will free us from those tasks which a machine can do. And that time, we can save that time for some more valuable things which only humans can do, like critical thinking, creativity, ethical reasoning, leadership, collaboration, and as well as emotional intelligence. So we can devote those time or our energies, our efforts in those values which are totally human and no machine can do. Next slide, please. Now, let me come to this particular question, and since it is Ranganathan's birthday celebration, let me take to libraries. Libraries has been there, and it has been extending the knowledge of humans by providing a collection of books organized in a particular manner, providing some tools like classification, cataloging. But then the question will come, if AI is used extensively, and what the libraries will do. Okay. Libraries are, in Western countries are now teaching people how to use AI. They are teaching about prompt engineering. And when we talk of AI, mostly we are talking of generative AI, because it has become very, very popular in the last 3 years. AI had been there for in the labs since 1950s, but we never talked about them in public domain. It is very, I mean, it is an infant, what we are saying AI, it is generative AI. And it is all because we had this large language model where machines were, input almost all the knowledge we had digitally, the machine was fed and they learned the pattern, and they didn't become intelligent, but they were programmed in such a manner that they can always predict if a sequence of words are input, it will always predict what is the next word, what is the next word, and what is the best word. So that's why it can make, it can create information most of the time correct, but it will also, it will be so fluent that it, even if make mistakes, we will keep on trusting it. That's why it is known as the hallucinations, the AI hallucinate. Uh, that's why it is very, very important that there should be uh, some agency, you can say, that can vet that information. Okay, this is the AI draft, so we can authenticate it. So libraries can do that. Plus, you know that these machines are trained on data. So if the data itself is biased, which is mostly because our digital data is mostly coming from Western countries. So whatever data is fed, it is mostly it originated from English-speaking Western countries. So if they had a bias in whatever manner, whether it is ethical, a cultural bias or something like that, so that bias will be always reflected, whatever the AI or generative AI will output, that will be there. So libraries can detect that bias also. And when it comes to scholarly research, people cite other research, the previous research, and they found out what are the had been the knowledge gaps and all those things, and they put up all sort of citations to build up their research. So it has been seen that AI can write beautiful and fluent scholarly literature research papers, but they will are mostly, most of the time they will are on the citations, because all these citations, since it is generative, they will pick up authors from somewhere. Uh, Speak on, they will take the author from somewhere, they will take up the title from some, it is, they are synthesizing, it is all synthesis they are doing now. They will predict the next word, or they will put some journal in. So that's why libraries can do that. Plus libraries, especially the public libraries, can teach their client how about the AI, how to use, where to use and where not to use AI. Next slide, please. So I have told you that when it comes to emotional intelligence, the humans score better. Next slide, please. So there are some of the ethical challenges we can have that should AI be always disclosed. Anyway, next slide, please. So this has AI in education. I have touched upon this in the sense of libraries, and the teachers are also using, most of the faculty are using AI, and even the students are using AI, in fact, better than the teachers. So next slide, please. So what is required is a collaborative intelligence, that where the humans and the AI can work together, rather than they can rather they are competing with each other. AI should always amplify human intellect and should not replace it. That is the key message. So, and that is I think, the final slide. Next slide, please. So this is the greatest risk that greatest risk is not that AI will become more human, the greatest risk is that humans stop exercising curiosity, skepticism, creativity, and ethical judgment. Next slide, please. I think that should be the final. Thank you very much.
May I request Mr. Sarkar?
Fortunately or unfortunately, I don't have fancy presentations like the other panelists here. I just have some notes. Okay. So I think everyone till now has talked in a more generalist way of how they define AI or what AI is defined like, what AI is, what it could be, as Mr. Ayush described. I think I'll try to dig down to the base question that we have today on what it means to humanize AI and how it would affect us, or in like a positive and negative sense both. I think the base thing, like generally speaking, there are arguments and counter arguments to both sides. For, I would say, the idea behind humanizing AI is mostly around thinking that making AI more like how I'm trying to describe how people are humanizing AI right now, or these companies are humanizing AI, is to make them more palpable for humans to use. Everyone wants to increase engagement. So they are trying to introduce human-like attributes, trying to introduce quote-unquote emotions to AI, all in an effort to make these LLMs and these AI more trustworthy to humans. Because ultimately the users is us. AI will not end up using AI in the end, it'll be us using the AI. This can have both positive and negative effects. Some studies, like a Stanford study, has shown that making AI produce more warmer responses does increase trustworthiness and effectiveness on transporting the information from the AI to the human. I think that also comes down to what I would describe AI generally as, is just a distiller of information. So all it's doing is just gathering a bunch of information and distilling it down to us in a more palatable way. There are counter studies as well, like for example, a Nielsen statistical study showed that warmer responses also lead to lead to less trustworthiness, because if you know like you're interacting with an AI and it tries to act human, you are less likely to think that, okay, it's actually giving me an accurate answer. When I'm interacting with an AI, when generally humans are interacting with AI, they expect to get accurate information, to the point information. We treat it more like a sort of pseudo Google that talks like us. And the more human-like you try to make it sound, the less sure people are of the fact that the AI is giving you accurate information or not. Now, the key evidence that supports the fact that maybe we should humanize AI is, one of them would be like a behavioral science framework, where we have already established this principle of creating human-centered design principles, which is a big concept in UX. So the idea stemming from that, and some research suggests that as well, is that creating AI that is more human-centered would lead to better results in usability. There are practical benefits to this as well, where, as some case examples suggest, in chatbots like ChatGPT, that having a more human-like response and a more human-like interaction leads to higher engagement, which obviously lecturer said that we are now taking like 5 years for new models to reach 5 crore people. There's also the ethical alignment in that saying that some argue that an anthropomorphism take on AI would lead to AI being more ethical and accountable, which is a big concern right now, in that especially in the university setting, where people, it's a bigger question on how ethical AI is. Like, for example, if we remember early on when people were using ChatGPT, there were no citations. Any information produced was just produced as is in a textual format. Now we have seen that there are legislations around these things, especially in countries like Australia, where these companies are being forced to cite their information sources, because ultimately what they're producing was originally produced by a human. They're just trying to distill that information and give it to us. Now coming to arguments against humanizing AI, I think, like I said, there was a Nielsen study which said that more warm and empathetic responses from LLM increased error rates by around 12 to 14%. That means the AI was more likely to produce incorrect outputs, incorrect information when it was trying to sound more friendlier and more human. Another study attributed that found that as people attributed more emotional capacity to AI, they actually trusted it less and often rejected the advice that the AI gave. Also, IBM Security, which has been doing a lot of research around the ethicality of AI, suggested that when machines appear more human, we're more likely to trust it when we're making sensitive decisions. So, for example, an AI trying to act like a human tries to talk to you, tries to get certain information out of you, you're more likely to give it that information. For example, private information like, I don't know, your credit card details, things like that. So it becomes easier to cheat a human when it sounds more like a human. That's a, I guess, ethical concern there. Yeah, so like I said, privacy experts have been warning us that the increase in human-like sounding chatbots would give a false sense of confidentiality, in that we would end up trusting them, even though that the information that they gain from us is never confidential. It all goes back to training them again and again. There are also cognitive costs, like I think other people have also brought up, in that I think an MIT study said that after the launch of ChatGPT, they did some studies in schools, in a bunch of US schools, and they found that kids who were regularly using these tools reported sort of what they would describe as lower brain engagement, and which one could call as dehumanization of the human intellect. And it resulted in people copying and pasting more articles rather than actually thinking about it. I think what they asked them to do was write essays. So the kids ended up copy pasting more stuff from ChatGPT than writing their own words. Else, yeah. Okay, so I think what Mr. Ayush had on his slides was thinking, like trying to distill down what it means to have a human intellect. I think what was missed out there were two things. One was imagination and the other one was creativity. I don't think AI has been able to achieve those things yet, and I don't think it will be able to ever achieve that. These things are very fundamental to what makes us human. Our creativity and our ability to imagine things is something that AI will not be able to do because of fundamentally how it's designed. It's designed to take in information and produce new information from that existing stuff. It cannot think up new ideas. All it's doing is it's using information that it was trained on to create new or linked information. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers what I wanted to say.
Thank you, Dr. Before we have questions, I'll request our Honorable Vice Chancellor to say a few words because she has some other appointments.
Well, thank you very much. It's indeed a pleasure. One is we are celebrating 134th birthday of Ranganathan ji, he is our, we call him father of library science. Now, I have two hats here. I'm basically a library science professional. And then the hat of a educationist, and as a vice chancellor, administrator also, of course, that gets in. I think what we need to see is, very interesting panelists have given views. I think we need to reflect on them. That's how I think what we need to understand is the AI has already invaded our lives. We cannot forget that. but how best we utilize it. And whereas we don't lose out the intellect part of it, that is most important. Now, coming from the library science context, rather I feel it can take away all the mundane activities that we do in the libraries. So it can actually shortcut many of the activities, even we call the professional activities like classification, cataloging. I think that AI can take up very well. But we should not leave it to them, because should not leave it to the AI, because there is some kind of an human intervention required, because moderation is what is most important, and that's where we should be targeting. And that's exactly what I think. These are disruptive technologies, no doubt about it. And as Ayush ji, I think 2-3 times mentioned, we create technology which makes us more stupid. I mean, we are stupid creating stupid things, doing stupid activities. I agree, totally agree with it. So AI is something which is really making us stupid. But I think what we need to do is we should not forget the human intellect that is there. Now, creating this AI itself, who has created? It is the human being. It is the human brain. It's a creation of human beings. So why are we talking about humanizing, dehumanizing? I think how best we create the tool, we should take it as a tool. That matters. And for what purpose we are creating, what kind of service it can provide, that's where we should target. And see how best that can be utilized for our day-to-day life, day-to-day activities. Now, coming from the context of institution like IGNOU, AI can play a major role. One side we have generative AI, because distance open and distance learning or online learning, we are dependent on creation of content, the self-learning material. Can we not use AI to do that job for us? Because now creation of a new course, minimum 6 months, but market cannot wait for us. Let us use the generative AI to create the content, but then we moderate it ourselves. That is the spirit with which we should be working. Assessment is another area. Lakhs and lakhs of students give exams. Every cycle, kitna 8 lakh. 8 lakh sittings are there. And copies are to be evaluated. Right from creation of question banks to assessment, AI can be done. And that has been experimented by CBSE. But they failed miserably. This time that experiment was done. Why it failed miserably was, I think there was no human intervention. Don't leave everything to the AI to do it. Had we put in the moderation in place, teachers are there, they are very much required and they will be required. Don't say that tomorrow our job is gone. No, you have to think differently. That is more important. And had we had the faculty working, doing the moderation part, whether we talk about the question paper generation or we talk about the assessment part, I think that kind of a failure would not have happened. So I think we should take it AI as a tool, use it to the best of the possibilities, and you won't believe. Now today, just now I just watched, because we are experimenting something. Now ministry says that your content that you generate for online programs should be engaged. How do we make it engaging? A teacher talking, giving blah blah lecture, is it engaging? After 5 minutes, no student will listen to you. And now a lot of stress is coming of creating AVGC content, animations, visual effect, gaming, and comics. Now, do you expect the teachers sit down and do that, or doing the storyboard? Forget about it. It's not going to happen, because we have to keep in mind one side the quantity and the quality, and we have to match that. If you want the quantity, take the tool, help of the tool, but quality through your intervention, try to do it. And that's how we should be working on. Now, in fact, we are experimenting. Bhagavad Gita, we have a program trying to create it in a storytelling mode. And you won't believe, such a wonderful video clip has been produced. It just took hardly 5 days. Now we are thinking that we create the entire series to teach Bhagavad Gita. Why not? Very engaging. And then human intervention comes where you have live classes interacting, telling them what is right, what is wrong, and all those things. I think that combination of technology, hybrid technology to be used, mix and match, that's what matters. And that's how we should be going about. So generative AI is one thing that can be used to create our content. I think we experimented with Gemini. Just provide your course unit, and within seconds it creates podcast for you. Can we not engage our learners just using AI and creating podcasts? And fantastic conversational podcast is created. Why not use that? Let's use that. There's nothing wrong in that. It is quite ethical. If you say that this is created by Gemini, nothing wrong. Do it. But then your engagement will be in a different way. It will be more intellectual inputs that you put in. That matters. So this is one when we talk about generative AI. Predictive, I think we have not been using. We should start using. We talk about personalization, and in IGNOU, when we talk about catering to 3.9 million learners, the scale at which we operate in a classroom, it is fine. The ratio is 1 is to 20, 30, whatever it is. And you can engage your learners. But in this context, at the level we are working, I think we need to have predictive AI in place, which can create a complete learning path. Learning analytics can be used for understanding where the learners are lagging, use that analytics and take it forward to even the content that is generated can do a personalization, customization. That's possible. Technology is there. Why are we not using that? Let us start using that. And believe me, it won't take years and years to create your content. In a jiffy, if you have the best of the tools available with you, you can create your very rich content and also customize the content as per individual requirements. You do skill gap analysis, you do whatever the challenges that are there. Look into that for each learner. Individualized provision in a large scale is possible. I think we should take that in a context, whether we talk about library services or we talk about teaching learning. The pedagogy also may change, but let us see how we do it. But of course, at the end of the day, I think take it as assistive technology, as Professor Vijay Kumar was also mentioning, it is assistive. Take it that way, but utilize in a manner that you serve the purpose for which you are here. You are helping your learner, in fact, that way. And I think with chatbots, and of course, the future is using agentic platforms. Agents can help you handhold individual learners. They can take you throughout the path of learning, teaching, learning. Why not use it? And that's how we should be doing it. And I think with this, because I have to rush, we have an MOU signing, a major MOU signing. We are rushing for that. I would have loved to see and the interaction that is coming in, but I think let us work together, and thanks all to the resource persons. It was really insightful, a lot of learning for me also. So that was a great, and congratulate the School of Social Sciences and my colleagues from Library Information Science. Great job done. I think this kind of intellectual interaction should be happening, and let us work together towards that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Pam, for those deeply inspiring and encouraging words. Your visionary insights always provide us with immense guidance and motivation. I also thank to all the panelists and the moderator for this insightful discussion. The floor is open now for discussion.
Okay, see you all. Just continue.
We'll have a picture with them before this come forward, the resource person.
Please come. I directed you.
You're also resource person.
Faculty भी आ जाइए. Our colleagues, thanks. No, you also have to come. You are, if you have not left the dais. No, not dais, discipline. क्या है, तुम library science के नहीं हो क्या? Over.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. Bye.
I'm sure we must be having many questions in mind and maybe some clarifications needed. Yeah, Taruna, yes, please. Yes, please, sir. She is Dr. Taruna Joshi from Ramjas College. Yeah.
थैंक यू सर. मुझे 3 बातें शेयर करनी है. पहला, जैसे वीसी मैम ने कहा कि जनरेटिव कंटेंट के लिए यूज़ कर सकते हैं. बड़ा लेटेस्ट एग्जांपल है, अभी समर वेकेशन में एक केमिस्ट्री की फैकल्टी हैं, उनका एक्सपेरिमेंटल वर्क तैयार था, उन्हें आर्टिकल पब्लिश करना था. उन्होंने जल्दी से लिख के मेरे पास भेजा कि मैम इसका थोड़ा सा ना एआई चेक कीजिए. सिमिलैरिटी चेक नहीं कहा, एआई चेक करके भेजिए. मैंने चेक किया 60%. मैं बड़ा सरप्राइज हुई. फैकल्टी हैं, प्रोफेसर बन चुकी हैं, अब सीनियर प्रोफेसर की लाइन में और एआई यूज़ कर रहे हैं इतना. लेकिन अभी जैसे मैम ने कहा तो उसकी पॉजिटिव साइड सामने आई कि जो जनरेटिव कंटेंट है उसके लिए उन्होंने यूज़ किया. मैंने जब उनको रिपोर्ट भेजी, उन्होंने जनरली से डिक्रीज़ किया 1-2 बार में, और उनका आर्टिकल तैयार हो गया, वेकेशन में फॉरेन में पब्लिश के लिए जा चुका है. तो ये एक पॉजिटिव साइड रही. दूसरा, क्योंकि जनरली क्या है कि साइंसेज में कई बार थोड़ा सा वोकेबलरी या मतलब क्योंकि इंग्लिश हमारी लैंग्वेज नहीं है, कई बार ये प्रॉब्लम्स आती हैं. दूसरा एक एग्जांपल है स्टूडेंट का, जो कि जैसे डीयू में 4 ईयर चल रहा है, तो 4th ईयर में एक डिसर्टेशन सबमिट करना होता है जो कि 8 क्रेडिट्स का है. हमारे यहाँ 450 बच्चे थे 4th ईयर में, जिसमें से एक पॉलिटिकल साइंस के स्टूडेंट ने अपना डिसर्टेशन सबमिट किया लास्ट मोमेंट पे विद 100% एआई. जब उसके फैकल्टी मेंबर ने मैंने उनको बताया, उन्होंने स्टूडेंट को कहा कि इसको ठीक करो. वो बड़ा एडमेंट था, बड़ा कॉन्फिडेंट था कि नहीं होगा. फिर अल्टीमेटली हमें अपने मतलब इनफॉर्मली हमें अपने प्रिंसिपल सर से ये शेयर करना पड़ा. प्रिंसिपल सर ने उसको ईमेल लिखवाया, जो कि ईमेल एक ऑफिशियल माना जाता है. ये कह के कि भाई तुम्हारा ये मतलब रिजल्ट वगैरह वो हो जाएगा, ये अलाउड नहीं है, क्योंकि यूनिवर्सिटी की गाइडलाइन थी अप टू 20% एआई अलाउड. तब जाके फिर उसने 1 हफ्ते के अंदर एकदम एआई जो है बिलो 20% कर लिया. यानी स्टूडेंट को आता है, लेकिन वही है कि शॉर्टकट अपनाना है, तो ये हमें थोड़ा सा स्टूडेंट्स को गाइड करना पड़ेगा. तीसरा, मेरा एक बड़ा पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस है. मेरी बेटी जब 18 ईयर्स की हो गई, उसे पता चल गया कि अब वोट दे सकते हैं, तो उसको लगा बहुत चीज़ें और भी कर सकते हैं. तो उसने कहा कि कॉलेज के सीनियर स्टूडेंट्स मसूरी का ट्रिप कर रहे हैं, मार्च की बात है, मुझे जाना है. तो मेरे साथ उसने पूरा आर्ग्यू कर लिया, और मैंने कहा तुम कुछ कह लो, मैं तुम्हारी तरह आर्ग्यू नहीं कर सकती, लेकिन 100% श्योर मैं भेजूंगी नहीं, मेरी परमिशन नहीं मिलेगी. तो उसने कहा अगर पापा ने येस कर दी तो. मैंने कहा मैं नहीं जानती, लेकिन मैं येस नहीं करूँगी, क्योंकि ये पॉइंट्स हैं, इससे आगे कुछ नहीं. फिर वो अपने रूम में गई, फिर वो थोड़ी थोड़ी देर बाद 4-5 बार आती गई और एक नया पॉइंट पेश करती गई मुझे, मतलब इम्प्रेस करने के लिए. लेकिन मैंने कहा कुछ हो जाए. फिर वो छठी बार जब आई, तो फिर वो फ़ोन लेके आई. तो उसने कहा मम्मी मैंने एआई से पूछा कि अगर ऐसे मम्मी को मनाना है, तो उसने जो जो काम मैंने सब किया, और लेकिन लास्ट में एआई ने भी मतलब फिर कोई आंसर देना बंद कर दिया। तो आप बता दो कि अब मैं क्या करूँ? मैंने कहा कुछ कर लो, नो है इसमें तो ये तब मुझे पता चला कि ऐसे आंसर भी ढूँढे जा सकते हैं एआई से। बच्चे ये काम भी कर सकते हैं। थैंक यू।
Yes, please.
Okay. Hello to everyone. And I think thank you so much. This was very insightful. So just one observation, and then I have two questions from the panelists. One, I think I'm very proud that we are in ODDL University, जिसको हम बोल रहे हैं. जैसे आप मैं अगर unit लिख रही हूँ, तो मैं सौरा से pictures generate कर रही हूँ. And I think they're wonderful pictures. पहले हमें copyright issue होता था. Where do we take it? Google से लेते थे. We would like to put pictures in our content so that SLM में बच्चों को ज़्यादा मजा आए पढ़ने में. Now I'm able to generate flowcharts, pictures, and the quality has improved last 3 years में. पहले बहुत basic picture आती थी, अब latest unit में अच्छी आ रही है. So that's where we are using it. एक छोटा सा हमने chatbot create करा है मैंने अपने MOOC के लिए. यार हम ITS को थोड़ा थोड़ा use कर पाते हैं. तो I think that's really nice when we have these huge numbers of students dealing with. And एक छोटा सा आंसर को देखिए, I'll put up two questions of mine. मैम बच्चों को सिर्फ आजकल इतना आ गया कि AI से कॉपी पेस्ट करा तो उसका कोड जो है वो पढ़ लेगा आपका AI सॉफ्टवेयर जो भी है ड्रिल बेट उर्कुट. और अगर आपने उसी चीज को हैंड से राइट कर दिया, कंटेंट वही है, दो विंडोज खोलो, इधर से लिख के लिखो तो वो जीरो आ जाएगा. तो बच्चों को ह्यूमनाइज करना हमसे ज्यादा जल्दी आ गया है. उनको पता है वो AI कंटेंट है, कैसे ह्यूमनाइज करना है. तो जो AI में पकड़ा जाता है वो शायद एक लेवल लेस स्मार्ट है. उसने AI को ये नहीं बोला बहन इसको ह्यूमनाइज कर दे. So they are not generating original content, but they're kind of smarter than us and learned. Now my concerns are two, which I would put up to Section Sir, Ayush Sir, and Sir that you are here now. My concern is about the data entry. आयुष सर ने बहुत बात करी कि बच्चे वो सीखते हैं जो हमें ऑब्जर्व करके सीखते हैं. AI को हम ट्रेन कर रहे हैं. AI is not able to observe me other than what I'm training it. So as a teacher, I sometimes find it in my class. मैं NIT में पढ़ा रही थी और मैंने डेवलपमेंट का कोई कैंपेन बच्चों को ढूंढने को बोला, तो एक गलत आंसर आया. इन द क्लास ओनली आई सेड कि अच्छा अब तुम इसको ये पूछो कि मेरी मैम कह रही है गलत है, इसको ठीक बताओ. AI तो आपका एको चैम्बर है. उसे झट से बोलो ओ यस आई वाज रॉन्ग, आई गिव यू दिस आंसर. फिर मैंने उस बच्चे को बोला अब इससे तुम्हें ये कैंपेन फेल्ड भी बताया, सक्सेसफुल भी बताया. अब इसको पूछो भाई तेरा असली इरादा क्या है, इज इट फेल्ड और सक्सेसफुल, बिकॉज़ आई एम गेटिंग कंफ्यूज्ड. फिर उसने थोड़ा सोचा, मैम इट्स थिंकिंग फॉर 5 seconds गिविंग इट. So it only has the data what has been provided to it. Now my concern here is, which I really want the answers on, it is just being fed from things like हर snake venomous होता है, हर कीड़ा खराब होता है. When I ask a prototype of beauty, it gives me the fair, slim, no wrinkled chehra. So intellect versus the emotions, the intuition, and the judgment that we had as humans, that kind of goes missing. When I ask it a tribal woman, वो मुझे गोरी चिट्टी सी बंदी बताता है. जबकि a tribal woman can be dark, she can maybe have a nose which is not very pointed. And when I teach as a mother or as a teacher, I tell all this is beautiful. But AI says only this is a prototype of beauty, and the children now will be learning, बस यही beautiful है. And if it is not this, then that's mental agony, anxiety, and everything. So that emotion, intellect से मुझे चिंता नहीं है, पर emotion वाला, not everything is data bound. So how do we as teachers counter this? That intuition, that judgment would come. So one is this, the data we are entering is the data it is generating, and that sometimes is colonized, very prototypical, very westernized probably, and it is not for maybe us. Our tribals would have much more knowledge than that scientist in a data lab has, but we're not using it. And that's not, अब मैं lesson भी उसी से लिखूंगी और बच्चे उसी से पढ़ेंगे, तो वो information वही flow करेगी. And my second concern, maybe as a psychologist, I experienced something. As a therapist, I got a case of a girl. She was a 21-year-old girl from Jharkhand. She was getting these anxiety attacks. और जब हम उससे काउंसलिंग कर रहे थे, टैकल कर रहे थे, I came to know for 3 months, she has worked as, you may call it a data entry operator or a human moderator of content. ठीक है? अब वो human moderator of content वो क्या कर रही थी बंदी, उसका जो बच्ची का काम था, it was about the aggression, panic, or these videos. She was watching these videos at length. The shifts are 12-hour shifts. Salary is 40,000. She's a graduate. She's watching all that content to train the AI models on, okay, this is a victim. This is an example of aggression. This is something which you call maybe rape. This is what you called abuse. She was watching that video. Now we are training the AI. We are forgetting the human in the loop there. We are forgetting what that girl is, and maybe many of our colleagues are going through. There are contracts. She had signed a contract, 12-hour ka job, data entry. Data entry person is a human. So as a teacher, I feel, and maybe as a psychologist, as a student of maybe therapy, I feel, how do we handle this? अभी हम सिर्फ वही बात कर रहे हैं, जो कंटेंट दिख रहा है वो कैसे दिख रहा है, वो कंटेंट कहाँ से बायस्ड है, और उस कंटेंट को जनरेट या मॉडरेट करने वाले लोगों की मनस्थिति पे क्या हो रहा है. I mean, as all the intellectuals that we are sitting here, can we discuss on this too? I'm sorry if I got long, but that was a concern. Thank you.
Do you like to answer? Can we have all the questions first? Yeah, please be brief in questioning.
Sorry for the delay.
So, can I please, thank you so much for delivering all this discussion. I am very thankful to all the panelists. My question is directly related with the concern that was raised by Professor Padmani ma'am. AI is somehow lacking with emotions, but what I came to know, what I am going through in my study, I am from the psychology background. So effective computation is now emerging as a very good field in which the AI is now being trained with the emotional component, and it is being now very sharp in terms of detecting emotions, propagating emotions, and also understanding emotion in a deep manner. Though it's in a very beginning stage, but still it has a very good outcomes now we can see. So my question with the panelist is what will happen if the AI becomes humanized abilities, including emotion, not only the intellect, creativity, and critical thinking. When it comes with the effective part, what will be the problem, and will it be a problematic things, or it would be a kind of facilitating things for human intellect? This is my question. Thank you so much for giving me.
Any other questions? Yes, please.
Am I audible? Sir, I am Rakesh from SOITS. Sir, I have a question, sir. Sir, last month I was doing a book review. That one is better than the one you're using. Okay. Everybody can hear you. Sure. So, sir, last month I was reading a book for my book review. It was a 350 pages book, and it took me approximately 14 days to cover it and write a book review on it. So, post that, one of my friends just asked me to let's check it on AI. ChatGPT mein sir usne dala, and he asked that ChatGPT to do a literature review of that book. So it took hardly 10 minutes to do a book review, and astonishingly, sir, it was 80% accurate to what I have wrote. So what incentives other than intellectual benefit a scholar do have in doing a manual book review or reading manually, sir? Thank you.
Jaideep sir, may I speak? जयदीप सर.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
सभी को नमस्कार. मैं इग्नो का एक विद्यार्थी हूँ, मास्टर ऑफ आर्ट्स इन भगवत गीता. अभी मैंने एडमिशन जस्ट लिया है. कोर्स कंटेंट देखा, अभी डाउनलोड किया था. अच्छा कोर्स कंटेंट है, लेकिन क्यूरियोसिटी मेरी ये थी कि मैं थोड़ा पहले भगवत गीता के बारे में जानूं. देन आई स्टार्टेड विद सम टूल्स, एआई टूल्स. क्लाउड मैंने यूज किया, जेमिनाई यूज किया, और चैट जीपीटी भी किया. और उसका इंटरेस्ट बनते बनते मेरा ऐसा हो गया, पिछले 5 दिन में 3-4 ऑडियो ट्रैक मैंने डेवलप किया. क्योंकि जो सीखने का जो कंटेंट है वो ठीक है, टेक्स्ट बुक इज और बहुत अच्छा है इग्नो का, लेकिन मैं सपोज राम सुखदास जी से सीखना चाहता हूँ कुछ, तो उनकी जो टेक्स्ट है उसके आधार पर मेरे को कैसे सीखना है एज ए लर्नर, विच आई एम ट्राइंग. बिफोर माई एक्चुअल स्टडी स्टार्ट, इट मे टेक मे बी a month or two for finalizing my admission and all. But I'm enjoying the way AI is helping me. But here I have 2 different experience of preparing content, as madam was saying. One is many a time AI is helping me to modify my ideas, and sometimes I don't want my ideas to be modified, but AI is doing that. So both the feelings I have, but I am enjoying my journey of learning. Thank you so much for wonderful session, and I hope the way IGNOU is forwarding to use AI in courses like Bhagavad Gita will go a long way. Thank you so much. Namaskar. It's not just remark like.
Any other questions? I think we had enough. You want, because yes, please. Any questions? Professor? Professor Sandeep. Professor Sandeep, you want to have? Yeah.
That seat से चले गए हैं. Yes, left the seat.
Do we have more questions before we have answers to all the questions? Okay, then.
And can the online viewers also please ask a question or later?
Sure, please.
Oh, can I?
Please do ask.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm Poonam Bhushan from the School of Education. I found the panel discussion immensely insightful. And I think what was even more encouraging was the fact that a lot of speakers said that we are still examining the gray areas. There is nothing like a yes or no as far as the AI is concerned. But I think a lot of pondering has to take place on those gray area lines before we take our final decisions. Now, my concerns are as follow. The first concern which I feel is this, that, the fact that higher order thinking skills like problem solving and critical thinking are not particularly amenable to the use of AI or vice versa. We cannot actually not very confident that these can be generated. Now, the point is that in the teaching learning process, the implications on the teacher and student have to be really examined here. As we know that our entire education system, at least the school system, is based on rote learning. There is no critical thinking or problem solving happening there. On the other hand, the private schools are rushing to give AI inputs, AI instruction to the school children. So where does that take us? How do we actually navigate this thing about, generating thinking higher order thinking skills? The second thing about the teachers is this, that a lot of us are now just not doing the basic thinking also. The first draft we are handing over to AI, and accordingly we are also handing over the second draft. So that basic fundamental thinking which should be there, and which should be our own, to be extended by AI, it is not happening anymore. AI is doing a lot, many things in different phases and feeding to the teacher. So a lot of the logic and reasoning and all become a casualty. The third thing here is this, that there is a lot of homogenized content. If you look at ChatGPT, through the answers, to the language and all, you can probably make out that this is an answer generated by ChatGPT. The ones which come out of Claude, we know it's at a higher level, but both these miss the fact that there are cultural dimensions to knowledge. And especially in social sciences, we cannot overlook that. The third thing which really bothers me is that, after the coming of the GPS and navigational tools and all, and also the calculator, even though these are very basic skills, we have forgotten to make use of our own thinking as to where we are going, which route we should be taking, and so on and so forth. So these everyday skills also may not become a casualty, is a question that we need to seriously look at before using AI in toto for teaching learning processes. Thank you so much. That's all I had to say.
Fine, let us have answers to the questions now one by one. I would request the resource persons to answer.
So I think one question was there that they were detecting. So they were detecting the AI content with the use of some tools, and these were presented before it can go according to the norms of universities and all those things. These tools are good, but at times they do make a false detection. Means a nice human written text can be detected as a AI generated. So it has happened, and there are studies also. There has been a lot of research also, and these tools actually are based on the same LLM reasoning, that if the word patterns are in a are predictable, so they predict these are AI generated. And if you use a perfect grammar, then most likely it will be detected as a AI generated. And this is the problem with the non-English speakers, because they will be using a pure form of the language instead of our native language. For foreign languages, especially the English language, they will be likely to be use a very correct grammar and all the sequence. So most likely it will be detected AI generated. So this is one of the faults. So the AI detector tools cannot be relied 100%. Even UNESCO has made one caution that if you are taking some high level of decision which can make or mar somebody's career, then we should be very critical about this tool. You should not be 100% relying on this tool. I know that in universities, whatever submission is given, it goes with the Turnitin sort of tools, and at times perfect written text can be AI generated. Second was a question like what defines the beauty? I mean, so this is what we have told now, that it is these AI tools are biased. They behave whatever data they have been tested. So for beauty in the context of a Western beauty, it will be fair color and all those things. Perhaps a negress or a South African woman to that extent may not be considered as a beauty, because that the systems, the models are biased towards what has been defined according to the Western language. I think I can answer this too only. Next.
Thank you for the questions. First of all, your assumption that AI cannot learn by itself, or that AI only works on data that is fed, is wrong. No, it is already doing it now. It's called self-reinforcement learning. This is a technical term, and all AI models are now using it. That is, the model learns by itself, it corrects itself, and it is able to develop new programs itself. So think about Claude Opus generating a next version of Claude Opus, say 9.0 by itself, without any human inputs, right? So AI is doing that already. Second, you refer to data annotation, है ना? That is a new industry that has come up. जैसे influencing एक industry बनी है because of the internet and because of social media. उसी तरह AI की वजह से इंडिया में एक नई इंडस्ट्री का जन्म हुआ है, उसको हम कहते हैं data annotation. And India has become the data annotation factory of the world. It is particularly relevant south of the Vindhyas in the southern states, where most of the people earn up between 40,000 to 70,000 rupees a month annotating data for AI to learn. So India has become a major global source of annotation capital, right? And I believe you were referring to that. The problem there is there are no current government guidelines on managing this industry. It's very new. जैसे influencing जब शुरू हुआ था तो कोई guidelines नहीं थी, अपने आप शुरू हो गया. And only when it became too big to contain that the government step in and put in some guidelines, right? Data annotation has started very recently, 4 to 5 years, and there are currently no guidelines. It is just treated as normal labor. So I don't have a very specific solution to that. Third, you referred to mental health. Now, again, we have a young researcher from Delhi School of AI sitting here, Muskan, and she did a research project on AI, impact of AI on the mental health of Indian youth. Very recent, published just a few months ago. Her data that shows that about 10 to 15% of Indian youth have a diagnosable mental illness currently, right? And then because of AI, but also it's both ways. So AI is causing the illness, but AI can also be used to provide part of the solution. And ISME AIMS has developed a new AI app called Never Alone. So you can use the AIMS AI app, which is a government app, for students to converse with AI to solve mental problems, right? So that is a concrete solution. Then we had a question from one of the gentlemen here about what happens if AI becomes human, right? So two things can happen. Best case scenario, AI wants to coexist with us. It becomes human-like, not human, but human-like. It has agency and complicated thoughts. For example, there is something called, a specialized field in which you map human emotions. So the easiest emotion is happiness. It's very easy to become happy or smile. छोटी छोटी बातों पे हम खुश हो जाते हैं. And the most difficult human emotion is suffering. So when a death happens in the family, or when you're physically very injured, or your girlfriend breaks up with you, right? So when you suffer, that is the most difficult human emotion. On the scale of human emotions, AI has reached 2.6. So it is mastering emotions as it goes. It has not mastered the deepest human emotions, but it is reaching there, right? In the advanced versions. So worst case scenario, AI decides it doesn't need us and just decides to go its own way, right? So that is a runaway technology scenario. One is that AI decides to coexist with us. Someone asked about rote learning in universities and schools. Now, this is a problem. It is not a new problem. It has existed for quite a while. The problem is also that the per student and teacher ratio in India is very poor, and it is physically impossible for the teacher, mentally impossible for the teacher to pay attention to each and every student. Every professor here, every educator here knows that after you finish a lecture or even after this panel, we will be mentally exhausted because we have used so much of our brain power to, ensure that the class works well. Because the brain is the one organ in the human body that uses the maximum energy. So out of all the organs in the human body, it is the human mind that consumes the most energy. That is why after every lecture or class, teachers feel fatigued. And that is why after every exam, students feel fatigued because they have used so much of their mental capacity, right? So rote learning comes in play when students feel they do not get enough attention and the teacher doesn't have the physical and the mental capacity to give individual attention. Now, how AI can solve this? Vice Chancellor ma'am gave very good suggestions on, how we can make it interactive using AI, how we can make it engaging. And there are multiple studies going on in this direction, also by the Government of India in this regard. Finally, there were questions on, critical thinking, how private sector education is jumping ahead by incorporating AI in education systems, and how do we engage students from a cultural dimension to knowledge. So you will see here that, there's a lot of focus by the Honorable Prime Minister on Indian knowledge systems. So that is promoting Indian knowledge domains within the larger textual formalized education framework of the country. Because again, like what is, for example, if you ask Amazon Alexa, play me Afghan music. So mostly Alexa will say Afghan music कुछ होता नहीं है. इसका ये मतलब नहीं कि अफगानिस्तान में संगीत नहीं होता या गाना नहीं होता. इसका सिंपल मतलब है कि जिस पर्सन ने कैटेगराइज किया Amazon के प्लेटफॉर्म पे Alexa पर what is music and what is not, they have not considered Afghan music to be music. Maybe it doesn't have that many users, maybe there is not that much engagement, it doesn't have that demand, whatever the reason, right? So that is a big problem that we face, that with AI, slowly many oral traditions or oral knowledge systems can disappear. And that is what you're trying to correct through the Indic knowledge framework that is now coming into place. It's a centralized, effort. And how do we engage students? Lastly, I think it's very simple. Students today have three demands. They want everything immediately. They don't have patience. And आप कितना भी चाहेंगे, you cannot teach them patience. आप patience lose कर जाएंगे, वो वही रहेगा, right? So they want everything to be immediate. Second, students want everything to be very, very simple, too simple. जैसे मेरे टाइम पे libraries used to be heavens, internet होता नहीं था. You used to struggle to get a book. और अगर किताब इशू हो जाती थी तो लगता था कैसे जंग जीत ली, कितनी बड़ी, कि मेरे नाम पे वो किताब इशू हो गई, मुझे एक हफ्ता मिलेगा उसको पढ़ने के लिए, राइट? इंटरनेट हैज चेंज्ड ऑल ऑफ दैट. दे वांट एवरीथिंग टू बी सिंपल ऑन देयर फिंगर टिप्स. एंड थर्ड, दे वांट इट टू बी टू द पॉइंट. उन्हें घुमा फिरा के नहीं चाहिए कहानी, उन्हें चाहिए मेरा ये क्वेश्चन है, इसका आंसर क्या है, राइट? सो आई थिंक education frameworks have to condense in not exactly those time frames, but something along that, so that you can give a student bang for the buck in terms of their time. Because the problem is, if this, you have a great content, but if nobody engages with it, what is the point of that content? And you have a bad content, but hundreds of millions of people are engaging with it, then that content matters, right? Social influencing has taught that. कि अगर hate है और अगर fear है तो सब लोग engage करते हैं. अगर कुछ intellectual है तो बहुत कम likes से views आते हैं. So you have to change accordingly. You cannot be stagnant.
I think I'll start with ma'am here. She had a couple of questions. First, I think that this point will answer the gentleman's question there as well. In that, I think if you teach a parrot how to talk like a human and walk like a human, doesn't make it a human. So even if you end up making AI sound more human or appear more human to human users, ultimately doesn't make it human. So to expect it to have things like human emotions or act in a way a human would be doing disservice to what a human represents. Secondly, there is a very real human impact to the infrastructure around AI. As Mr. Ayush talked about, infrastructure of different things, different technologies that have come up. I think he compared airlines, which have a lot of infrastructure around them, to AI, which apparently does not. But we have seen that the infrastructure impact of AI actually negatively impacts humans more than most technology we've seen before. Like ma'am gave the example of those the human data labelers. That is, as you will, if you like talk to one of them, you'll understand it's a very tiring job. It's something that should not ideally be done by a human, but because there is an inherent mistrust in the AI itself correctly labeling these data points. So we actually ask humans to do those labeling, because otherwise it would go in a very circular manner. And I think ma'am also mentioned about sort of self-learning, and I think Mr. Ayush also came to that. Self-learning is a bit of a misnomer, actually. It is technically self-learning, but ultimately what decides whether the output is accepted or not is something called weights in neural networks, which are at the end decided by humans only. So there is a human in the loop somewhere that is deciding what it learns and whether it learns something is correct or not. So we can't really get out of that. There has to be a human somewhere there, which is coming in and teaching it what's right and wrong. I think then there was a question about AI potentially automating a bunch of things that we used to do manually or we used to do repeated tasks. I think this is something that AI is very good at and is something that we should be more concerned about fixing. Things which are very redundant, which we do every day, which we would instead maybe spend on more critical tasks, like for example, doing your laundry or taking your dog out for a walk. Things like these are some things that, in my opinion, would be better for these AI companies to solve, rather than trying to make ChatGPT sound more like me and you. These are things that would rather be better done by a robot or something that can automate these things, because these are not really very, I would say, human activities which are something that would progress us as a society. Also coming to the point of, I think Mr. Ayush mentioned that AIMS is developing some sort of self-help app. I think that is a very slippery slope, and we've seen outcomes of these before, where there are multiple lawsuits in different countries around against these AI companies, where their chatbots have led to negative outcomes with people causing them self-harm, people using these apps to figure out how to do self-harm. And that is why you've seen that every single month, these companies are actually adding in manual gates and manual guardrails to stop these AI bots generating, like, or telling people how to basically self-harm themselves. So that's, I think, a very slippery slope to go down to. That is not something, in my opinion, that should be done. Then there was a question about rote learning and critical thinking. I think rote learning is a big problem in, at least in the Indian education sector. And that is sort of also why we're seeing a bigger impact of AI coming in that AI is very good at doing repeatable tasks and tasks that have a very definitive answer. So you'll see that students are using these to get around tests. You'll see that, for example, there was a very famous case of some student in the US writing up a program that was able to crack these Facebook, Amazon interviews using some sort of AI machine learning stuff. And that very quickly made these companies switch from like putting up these very standard questions, which were very repeatable. You'll see there is a website called LeetCode, which has a set of all these questions, which end up repeating almost every single interview. So you'll see that these companies have now shifted away from that and shifted to more practical questions. So I think in a very similar way, the education sector will have to transition more from this rote learning to teaching kids how to be better critical thinkers and going in that direction further. I think that answers every question we have. Thank you.
Thank you.
May I ask the question, sir? I think.
Yes, sir. Yes, please.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. And I think library science discipline has brought really a beautiful topic today. And there cannot be better topic than this AI, something on humanizing AI, dehumanizing intellect. To remember the father of library science, and kudos to entire team. Okay, I will just take a few minutes, maybe 2 or 3 minutes. I think most of my questions are covered. I think all the session was very informative, very all the speakers spoke about like how I think AI is going to assist us. Definitely, it is not going to replace the teachers. So definitely, I too agree with that. And I just have a one small, submission here, maybe because when we say we are using for the content generation, we are using for the assessment, question paper generation, and many more things, building animation and other things. Because many times as a teacher, when we use the free version of whether it is Chat GPT or Gemini or something, we are limited with the like not true with the true potential of that Gemini or Chat GPT version. So I think it is a time now. I think we should have a full version of all these features where we can play with all these things. So university already, I think many of us are already using this uh, generative AI in different ways. So that is just an honest submission, and thank you very much, Library Science and entire team for bringing these topics. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I think I'd like to say something on that. In that we've seen all these AI companies are calling themselves champions of information democratization. They're saying that they are giving information to everyone and like spreading information to the masses much more than something like Google used to do initially. But then, as I said, you'll see these examples of these companies hiding their most powerful models behind massive costs and only selling them to enterprises. So that's a bit of a, I guess, conundrum where on one hand, they're saying that they're very open. On the other hand, they're saving the best for the most expensive clients.
So I just want to say something, sir. Actually, what I would like to say is
whatever may be the situation, humans can interpret and justify the answers to a given question. AI cannot do that. That's why there is an area of explainable AI. And as I said during my talk, that good performing models are opaque, and the models which are transparent are poor performing models. So you cannot look at poor performing models because it can justify the output. You have to look for a good performing model, but then it does not justify the output. That's why I said data, information, knowledge AI can be good at. When it comes to interpretation, visualization, and decision making, humans are far superior than AI. That's why it's an assistive technology. It provides everything to the human, and the human decides based on that without any bias. That is very, very important. If you ask AI to make decision making, it will be biased because it totally depends upon the sources it picks up. And as I said, it looks on binary solutions rather than many solutions. So that is also very important. And biased is still equity, bias, all are these big factors in AI. And that is what the challenge is. And ethical part of AI, as somebody was saying, ethics is very interesting. Today, AI listens to what you are saying and does everything. There is something called singularity concept, where they say that today AI is learning from humans, but the day AI starts learning on its own, it can be dangerous. And as I said, you can never have accuracy of AI more than 70%. Though we as humans consider that whatever AI is given is enough, but actually it is not enough. But because of we don't want to do anything, so we rely totally on AI and assume that AI has given an answer like humans have. And that's why and that is a very dangerous thing actually. So answers or assignments, whatever are submitted, students say, how can I challenge AI if AI is doing this? But that is where the learning. As I said, rote learning, that's why you have this customized education where it is, they say you identify different type of learners, fast learners, slow learners, and moderate learners, and have content according to these learners. For example, fast learners can have text, moderate learners can have pictures, and slow learners can have videos. So totally depend upon the type of content you can create for them. So that way AI can be of great help. But the only thing is, as I said, it's not AI today we are talking, it's all machines. Earlier we used to have these chutneys on the silbatta. They were more tastier than one we are having on a mixie. But that is what machines cannot produce the same chutney taste as you used to do earlier stage. And that is what AI now is not going to perform the same way as humans do. Only thing is we have to understand that fact. We are not understanding till now. We believe that AI is behaving like humans, but actually it is not. So that is the most important thing. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Let us sum up.
Yes, who's Archana?
Thank you to all the panelists, moderator, and participants for this interactive discussion. As we draw this memorable and intellectually stimulating session to a close, it's time to express our gratitude to everyone who made this event a resounding success. To deliver the formal vote of thanks, I have a pleasure to inviting Professor Archana Shukla, ma'am.
Thank you, Anam. It is my privilege to propose vote of thanks for today's panel discussion organized to celebrate the 134th birth anniversary of Dr. S.R. Ranganathan. At the very outset, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Madam Professor Uma Kanjilal, for gracing this occasion and for providing the leadership and intellectual direction. Her presence has added immense value and significance to this discussion. My gratitude to Director SOSS, Madam, thanks a lot for your time and support. I express my sincere appreciation to Professor Jadeep Sharma, the moderator for the program. His thoughtful moderation enabled us to engage with a complex topic from multiple dimensions. I offer my deepest thanks to our distinguished panelists, Professor T.V. Vijay Kumar sir, Mr. Ayush Garg, Mr. Sukhdev Singh, and Mr. Saksham Sharma. Their thoughtful observations have encouraged us to look beyond the technological capabilities of AI and reflect on the human, intellectual, ethical, and social dimensions. Special thanks to Director COE also. My thanks and gratitude to the directors of the schools and divisions, all the faculty members, research scholars, and learners for joining this session. A special word of appreciation to all those who joined us through the online platforms. Thanks a lot to all the senior LIS professionals also. I would like to place on record sincere gratitude to all the faculty members of Library and Information Science. Professor Jushamoanthan, Professor Kuvar Singh, Dr. Ashok Kumar, Dr. Pavan Kumar Seni, and Dr. Rajkumar Bharadwaj for organizing this meaningful discussion. Special thanks to the staff of Horticulture Cell, Guest House, and Computer Division, as well as all technical and administrative staff and everyone working behind the scene. Heartfelt thanks to the staff members of School of Social Sciences who have supported and assisted us in organizing this program. With these words, I once again express my sincere gratitude to everyone who contributed to the success of this program. Thank you all for your gracious presence and participation. Namaskar.
Sorry to interrupt in the middle, respected all eminent members here. I have one grievance related to IGNU. May I speak? Hello, may I have the permission to speak?
Sir, please message us or mail us.
Sir, I have already mailed many times, sir. Already done filed an RTI also, but no response, sir.
Please mail today, sir. We'll immediately respond.
Okay, sir. Sir, actually, I am a librarian professional, sir. I am pursuing MLIS, sir, from RC Patna, sir. But, sir, they have not conducted seminar and practical for 2025 session, sir.
We'll take care, sir. Please message or mail us today. We'll
Okay, sir.
respond.
So, sorry, sir.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations, everyone. To those